Good evening and welcome to our Thousand Oaks City Council meeting for Tuesday, October 12th. No, it says 12th, but that's not correct. It's the 26th. All right, would you please join us in pledging allegiance to the flag? Ready, begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Adam.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Present.
Councilmember McNamee.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Engler.
Here.
And Mayor Bill de la Peña.
Present. Thank you so much. We do have under item 4 a request to move item 11A up on the agenda, and that is the Council on Aging annual report. So we will hear that after the public hearing. And with that, we go to special presentations. On Sunday, November 7th, marks the third anniversary of the most tragic event in our city's history, the mass shooting at Borderline Bar and Grill. Tonight, the City Council is issuing a proclamation to remember and to celebrate the lives of those who were so senselessly taken, to recognize the survivors and family members who have been so deeply affected by this event, and to acknowledge the strength of our city as we continue to heal from this tragedy. So tonight, on behalf of my colleagues, the City Council, I am presenting a proclamation to our community, which will dedicate November 7th every year as Remembrance Day in the city of Thousand Oaks. It says, whereas on the evening of November 7th, during College Country Night at Borderline Bar and Grill, 12 lives were tragically taken, and the lives of 248 survivors were forever impacted by enduring the trauma of this night. And whereas November 7th of this year marks 3 years since Sean Adler, Cody Kaufman, Blake Dingman, Jacob Dunham, Sergeant Ron Heelis, Elena Housley, Dan Manrique, Justin Meek, Mark Mesa Jr., Christina Morissette, Telemachus Nicholas Orfanos, and Noel Sparks' lives were taken. And whereas we recognize all present during the tragedy at Borderline, including those lives taken, the survivors, the first responders, and public safety personnel who acted with urgency and compassion, many bravely risked their own lives to protect others. We also recognize those who have worked tirelessly during the aftermath of this event to promote healing within our community. And whereas the people of Thousand Oaks have remained conscious and intentional in engaging in personal acts and community initiatives which promote kindness, understanding, vigilance, awareness, in order to help prevent inhumane acts such as what occurred at Borderline from ever happening in our home again. These initiatives have built community resilience, which have helped promote social connectedness and have advanced healing among those who have been affected. And whereas the Healing Garden Memorial at Conejo Creek Park was dedicated in 2019, a year after the tragedy at Borderline, and highlights 12 granite benches in memory of each of the 12 lives taken, and 248 pavers, which represent each of the survivors. The Healing Garden serves as a place for our community to reflect and heal from the events that took place, as well as a place to find comfort and strength. And whereas no one knows for certain that this senseless act could have been prevented, but our community has worked every day to diminish the prospect of it ever happening again. The community shares in the grief and trauma of those affected and remains dedicated to continue building a stronger community presence of love, compassion, and service, and unity. We continue to hold the loved ones of the Borderline 12 deep in our hearts and will remain dedicated to continue engaging in acts that meet hate with love and darkness with light. So therefore, I, Claudia Bill de la Pena, the mayor of the city of Thousand Oaks, and on behalf of the entire city council, do hereby proclaim November 7th, 2021, as Day of Remembrance to honor the lives of the victims taken and those involved at Borderline, and encourage our community to join in remembering those taken, those that survived, those that responded, and each person impacted by the horrific events of November 7th, 2018. I order the city flag lowered to half-staff for the Day of Remembrance as a sign of the community commitment to remembering and honoring the fateful events of that day. This proclamation will remain at City Hall in the lobby for everyone to see. And we will now see the video.
I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. I'm just out to find the better part of me. I'm more than a bird, I'm more than a plane, I'm more than some pretty face beside a train. And it's not easy to be me. I wish that I could cry, fall upon my knees, find a way to lie about a home I'll never see. It may sound absurd, but don't be naive. Even heroes have the right to bleed. I may be disturbed, but won't you concede? Even heroes have the right to dream, and it's not easy to be me. It's not easy to be me.
And with this proclamation, the city will fly the city flag at half-staff every year. Thank you. October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, ADHD Awareness Month, and it is also Mental Health Screening Month. So I think it is very appropriate at this time to be able to introduce October's recipient of our Community Commitment Award. He is Michael Morissette. And as the video just showed, Mr. Morissette lost his daughter, Christina, in the Borderline shooting. But since that time, Mr. Morissette has channeled his grief and his love for his daughter into serving the mental health needs of the Borderline community by volunteering for Give an Hour, a mental health nonprofit. Michael selflessly gives his time to coordinate information and education about wellness and healing for those affected by the Borderline shooting and others. Hello, I'm Claudia Bill de la Pena, Mayor of the City of Thousand Oaks, and we are here with the October honoree of our wonderful Community Commitment Award. And the October honoree is Michael Morissette, the father of Christina Morissette, who sadly perished in the Borderline shooting 3 years ago. We're here at the Healing Garden, and it is a very apropos location to discuss Mental Health Screening Month. You have really taken on the role of counselor and therapist and just helping to heal not only the borderline community, but the survivors, as well as the community at large. So you are being recognized for doing that and having been doing that for 3 years. It is not an easy role to have stepped into, but why did you do it?
The one thing that I started out intentionally doing was just talking to people and connecting with people. When people reached out to me to console me and my wife and our family, that they were sharing with us what their losses were. I would learn from them because I didn't know how I was going to handle it myself. We personally are there to connect, and that we can help people, walk alongside them, and maybe be there to direct them to whatever it is that they need.
How important do you think making everyone aware of mental health trainings is?
There was a need to look into emotional wellness, and that there's a need to look into how do people get to a place in their life where they want to harm themselves or harm others. The biggest problem is when we think that we're alone, then we think nothing matters. And it, it turns out that connection and availability and being non-judgmentally available to listen and to just be there for people is the most important thing. And it's not that I'm going to actively prevent something from happening, but to be aware and to be there and to help somebody walk through it.
What message do you have for other people in the community?
Taking care of ourselves is the best way to be available to take care of others. We want to help, but if we don't know how, then we just don't help. Knowing what resources are out there, and that's why it's important to, I've tried to share, or I try to share, I keep on my phone the hotline numbers, the text message numbers, and I've shared those with people. It doesn't take a therapist to lead someone to a service that they need.
Thank you very much. And the person who nominated you for the Community Commitment Award was none other than Kirsty Thompson of Give an Hour.
So Michael, I just want to congratulate you on this award and tell you that it was a pleasure nominating you for this award, for all of the work that you've done on behalf of mental wellness and emotional wellness for this community in the last couple of years. You were grieving for Christina, and how you wanted to turn that grief or use that grief for good, and that you felt like your calling was around helping other people. Thank you for your service.
So Michael, this October, Mental Health Screening Month, there is no better person to be our honoree than you. And it is my pleasure to present to you the Community Commitment Award for October 2021 for all of the work that you have been doing for the last 3 years and will continue to do, not only for the borderline family and community, but also for our community at large. Congratulations.
Wow, thank you very much.
Michael is one of those rays of light that has inspired us to come up with the Community Commitment Award this year, coming out of the pandemic. And if you have a nominee that shines a ray of light onto our community, who has been helping quietly behind the scenes, please nominate him, her, or them by going to www.toaks.org/CCA. And hopefully we will see you at the Borderline Remembrance on November 7th at 1 o'clock here at the Healing Garden. Thank you. And we have with us this evening via Zoom, Michael Morissette. Hello, Michael. We wanted to congratulate you, we the council, for this award, but really more importantly, for everything that you have been doing for our community and the borderline communities.
Thank you. I didn't realize this was going to be a test
to see how much I can take before I cry.
I think that includes all of us. So
Thank you.
also would like to thank you for helping to organize and really starting the November 7th Day of Remembrance, which will take place November 7th, as I just said on tape, at 1 o'clock. And it is a Day of Remembrance celebration by the community. It is you and the Conejo Valley Interfaith Association and other organizations that have put this together. And we hope to see many of our neighbors and residents here. There's plenty of room at the Healing Garden and Conejo Creek Park North that we can fill to celebrate the lives of the Borderline 12.
Yes, thank you very much. I really am humbled and really appreciate this opportunity. But if I could just say that there are many people that have been working, like you said, behind the scenes. And I'm honored that you recognize me, but there have been a lot of people that have been working towards remembering the date. And I'm very humbled to see that the city is recognizing that date for years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. All right. And it's a tough transition to go from that to public comments, but we will make that transition nonetheless. Madam Clerk.
This is the time and place for public comments for those wishing to address the City Council regarding items on the agenda or on a subject within the city's jurisdiction. All remarks should be addressed to the council as a whole. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Under state law, public comment matters may not be considered by the council unless listed on the agenda, but may be referred to the city manager for administrative follow-up. 8 individuals have requested to speak, and pursuant to city council standards, speakers are allowed 3 minutes.
Thank you. And with that, we go to our first public comment of the evening, and that is Jeffrey Shapani. And then we will have, after Jeffrey, via telephone, Sylvia Collins, and then Chris Dukes. So in that order. Jeffrey, good evening. I'm told that Jeffrey's not on yet. Let's go to Sylvia Collins. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Sylvia Collins, and I reside in Newbury Park. And I'm here to voice my concerns against the Conejo Climate Coalition's proposal to require all new construction and remodeling to be completely electric. A few years ago, my husband and I decided to replace our wood burning and our occasional creosote logs fireplace with a beautiful gas log fireplace. If this proposal had been in effect back then, we would be looking at an artificial, pathetic, heatless representation of a fireplace with some phony orange glow rolling in the background. No, thank you. Another point is that the power grid is questionable each year. Are we going to have enough electricity to our homes? I don't quite know what the problem is. Do we have any information to suggest that Thousand Oaks is creating too much carbon emission? Where has it been shown that fully electric houses are better environmentally than homes that use natural gas? And where is it written that the city council members are supposed to be environmentalists anyway? The council is supposed to represent the needs and interests of people who live here. Again, what problem is this climate coalition trying to solve? I'm also concerned about the potential costs. Why are we even considering this? This coalition is trying to impose its agenda on us. Sure, we all want clean air and water, but our city is doing just fine on both counts. If you're concerned about the environment, great. I would suggest that you guys focus more on important issues like reversing your vote to add more development to our community and create more congestion. That's the things that we care about, not some silly proposal that will do absolutely nothing to improve the quality of life in our community. Thank you.
Next, we have Chris Dukes, followed by Anita Garrity.
Hello, my name is Chris Dukes. I'm in Newbury Park, and I wanted to voice my opposition to the proposal from the Gas Coalition to the Thousand Oaks City Council that it require all new construction remodeling to be completely electric. I feel this proposal is extreme and it lacks the accurate data and science to support such a measure. The residents of Thousand Oaks deserve to know more specifically where the greenhouse gas proposal came from, what data it is using, what it expects to accomplish, and what metrics the coalition proposes to evaluate these accomplishments. Natural gas in American homes produce such little carbon dioxide emissions that it seems insignificant to bring forward such a proposal. Why eliminate an acceptable alternative such as natural gas that is cheaper, clean, and very efficient? Even our own waste management disposal trucks run on all natural gas for a cleaner environment. Have you considered the negative effects of this proposed requirement? We already have astronomically high electric bill increases. The surge of electrical needs will only be exacerbated by this issue. Although noting that PG&E caused over 1,500 historical fires in California over the last few years, and us having the most brutal summers with rolling blackouts, you've not considered consequences to residents when the power is out for days. If power is out for residents, that they are now without hot water or no way to cook. We cannot trust the reliability of energy all coming from the California power grid. It would be better to serve us to work on updating electrical power infrastructure for efficient and safety from future fires. We must implement a balanced approach to California's complex energy needs that includes the use of natural gas. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anita Garrity, followed by David Pat. Good evening. Okay, we will go to David Pat.
Yes, hello. I live here in Thousand Oaks, and I've been here a resident for just about 25 years now. And I do want to say it's a beautiful, beautiful place to live. I came from a place called West Van Nuys, which some people called the gateway to Reseda. So I'm glad to be out here, I must say. Anyhow, here we go. Why did the City Council approve the general plan back in May, which is an environmental disaster? If the environment is really the concern, why would you have approved a proposal that could include a 75-foot apartment building behind the lakes? One day we hear that the council has approved mixed use for the Borchard Road property, which will be an environmental and traffic nightmare. And a few months later, we learn that the city is considering that all new construction and remodeling be fully electric. It's also incoherent and makes me suspicious about the true intent behind it all. If environmental worries are really what this is all about, why isn't the Greenhouse Gas Coalition concerned about the threat to the environment posed by illegal immigration? I encourage the members of the City Council to view pictures taken at the border with astronomical amounts of trash left behind by people breaking into our country. People who are supposedly concerned about climate change aren't really. If they were, they'd be focusing on real threats to the environment. Emissions in the city of Thousand Oaks aren't among them. Thank you.
Next, we have Adam Haverstock. Good evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Adam Haverstock, and I'm the Director of Government Affairs and Tourism for the Greater Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce, with a couple items to report to you tonight. The first, I wanted to let you all know, I hope you know by now, next Friday evening, November 5th, is going to be the Chamber's annual awards gala. It's going to be held at the Hyatt Regency Westlake in an outdoor space at the hotel. And we're going to be honoring individuals and institutions in many categories. And I wanted to highlight a few of them that I think you may have heard of. The first is our Man of the Year. It is Thousand Oaks City Manager Andrew Powers. Congratulations. Our Woman of the Year is Linda Rossi, the President and CEO of Ventura County Credit Union. Our Business of the Year is Los Robles Health System. And we have two nonprofits of the year. One is Senior Concerns, and the other is Food Share of Ventura County. And we have additional honorees as well, but those are just some I wanted to highlight. Tickets for the gala are available on the Chamber's website, conejochamber.org, and we would love to see everyone on the council there and from the community. Secondly, I wanted to do a quick save the date. Coming up on Tuesday, December 7th from 11:30 to 1:30 at lunchtime is going to be the Thousand Oaks State of the City Address. This is going to be an in-person event at the Thousand Oaks Civic Arts Plaza, and it is going to feature an address by Thousand Oaks Mayor Claudia Bel de la Pena. All the details are still coming together for that, so we don't have tickets on sale quite yet, but please save the date, Tuesday, December 7th for that event. Thirdly, I wanted to send a quick thank you to the Public Works Department for hosting our Leadership Conejo Public Works session last Friday, and a special thank you to Graham Watts, your Emergency Services Director, who worked with me to set up all of the details for the day. So thank you very much to Graham and to his team for hosting us. And then finally, I'll give you a quick update from the Tourism District. I wanted to talk about revenue for just a sec. As you know, we track hotel revenue at the Conejo Valley Tourism Improvement District. It is the main metric we use to gauge the health of our local hotels. And we are on pace to collect $1.1 million in tourism fees in 2021. And that is about 75% of what our budget was from 2019, which is our pre-COVID benchmark. So we're about 75% of where we were. We have seen excellent growth in both the leisure travel segment and in the group travel segment, which is mostly weddings for our area. And the area we see a lag is in the corporate travel area. And since transient occupancy tax is a percentage of hotel room revenue, you can expect TOT to mirror the revenue trends we've been seeing in our hotels, which is really great news. And thank you. That does conclude my comments, unless there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haverstock. Appreciate the update. Next, we're going back to Anita Garrity. We'll give it another try.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry about the technical problem. And I guess you can't see me either, so there's another technical problem, but no coincidence. I am actually wearing a shirt that is honoring those that were lost at Borderline, although you can't see it. My question today is regarding how the City Council makes decisions. And do the residents of Thousand Oaks have a say, or do they just go ahead and decide without our consideration? And do the people really want this? Do they really consider an important issue? If the city's going to consider this radical proposal, it's important to have some input. And the proposal is, it's really concerning me what makes the Greenhouse Gas Coalition think that they can come in and present a proposal to you without presenting what the residents think. This is, after all, a government of, for, and by the people. It's not an organic proposal that reflects what the people think is a big brother proposal from a national organization that has no business here. It disturbs me to think that they can come pitch something to you without going through us first. My neighbor, friends, everyone I know does not really want this. And I don't think that you should consider this a ludicrous proposal at all, but should reconsider it. Perhaps a simpler criterion. And do the residents of the city that you serve think this is an issue? If they don't think it's an issue, that's an answer for you. But if they do, then that's also an answer. I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to listen to me. And I don't know if I can click on this, if I can see you and say goodbye, but here I am. And here's my shirt to honor those that have been lost. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for wearing that T-shirt. We all honor the lives lost at Borderline, of course, and all the survivors as well. And just to clarify, this proposal that we're hearing later on tonight is not at all coming from the Conejo Climate Coalition. This is all staff produced at the urging of the council. So just wanted to clarify that in case we will have other speakers that will think the same. And a government for the people, by the people. Again, the Climate Coalition is also part of the people. Next, we have George Noglis, I believe.
Like bagels is fine. Thank you. I have some compassion for Sylvia Collins' interest in gas fireplace. It is comforting to have that warmth. I witnessed personally in the days after the Thomas fire, the gas lines and the effort to try to finish off the task of putting out all the fires that were up in the hills above us. Those hills are not unlike Thousand Oaks. And I believe that if you're not able to let go of the gas mains all over Thousand Oaks, you may seriously consider it for the hills that are more fire prone, because it does increase the risk. Additionally, I've listened to a fire victim from Montecito explain how he awoke in the middle of the night after the Montecito mudslide. His lower floor in his home was burning because a gas line had been broken, and he and his wife were lucky to have escaped with their lives by jumping out the second-story window. I think his wife broke her leg in the process. Natural gas is definitely better than many alternatives, but I think if we look at the city of Thousand Oaks community greenhouse gas emissions projections, there is the desire to reduce greenhouse gas emissions so that we reduce the risk of drought-related fire. Two suggestions I have is I support the idea of using electricity from solar panels and offshore wind instead of gas. And I also really encourage Thousand Oaks to make sure that active transportation is safe so that people can safely stop burning fuel that intensifies our climate change problem, and can also enjoy the fresh air and the beautiful sunshine of Thousand Oaks as they ride their bicycle, for example, to do their errands instead of burning gasoline that puts about 18.74 pounds per gallon pounds of carbon dioxide per gallon of gasoline into the air that we share. So I do want to be compassionate to the interests of those who like their fireplace. And I wonder, if anyone would like to contact me and help to work out an alternative, I'd be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you. And this concludes our public comments. And for any follow-ups, I will go to our city manager, our man of the year, in fact, Drew Powers.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bill de la Pena. Nothing direct to follow up on, only just a point that is made. We'll be discussing update from our Sustainability Division Manager in just a little while, and she'll be providing an update for how that process is underway and sort of a very measured set of recommendations that group has forthcoming. That's all.
Thank you. And with that, we go to the consent calendar. Do my colleagues have any questions regarding any of the items there?
Madam Mayor, given nobody's talking, I will move the consent calendar.
Okay, I had to adjust my screen. Yes, go ahead. We have a motion. Please vote.
Councilmember Adam?
Councilmember
Yes.
Adam has his hand up. Is that something we should address first before we move to a vote?
Thank you, Kevin. You're right. I would like to, I was just going to move the consent calendar, but I want to be sure the mayor can see our hands. Can you, Claudia?
Yes, now I can see it. The word more, the little button had covered your hand. I can see it now. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Anyway, Bob's good. He moved it. Let's go.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember McNamee?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Engler?
Yes.
And Mayor Bill de la Pena?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And we now go to item number 8, that is a public hearing regarding solid waste recycling and disposal ordinance, and this will be presented by Helen Cox, our Sustainability Division Manager. Good evening.
And Mayor, I'll open the public hearing. Hearing advertised as required by law is open to consider Agenda Item 8A, Revised Solid Waste Recycling and Disposal Ordinance. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. One individual has presented a speaker card, and pursuant to council standards, he will have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Ms. Cox?
My apologies. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'm going to share a presentation with you. You just need to enable that permission. Sorry, I currently don't have permission to screen share. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'm here this evening to address the city's revised solid waste recycling and disposal ordinance. Also with me this evening and available to answer your questions is Assistant Analyst Rod Cordova. Our current solid waste ordinance needs to be updated to adequately address the requirements of recent state waste and recycling laws, including AB 1826 and AB 827, which went into force last year, and also SB 1383, which will be in effect as of January the 1st, 2022. AB 1826 requires businesses that generate 2 yards of waste or more to recycle their organic waste. Organic waste, as shown by the definition here, includes food and landscape waste, as well as food soil paper. AB 827 requires that businesses provide customers with an organic waste and recycling container to collect material purchased on the premises for immediate consumption. There are a host of new requirements under SB 1383, which goes into effect on January the 1st. These are addressed in our new waste hauling contract with Athens Services, including the requirement that organic collection service be provided to all residents and businesses, that compliance be monitored and contamination tracked, and that procurement targets for recovered organic waste products be met. In addition, Athens will conduct outreach and education about these requirements to the community. Another important requirement of SB 1383 is for the city to establish and implement a food recovery program. This involves ensuring that edible food generators like supermarkets, grocery stores, restaurants, hotels, cafeterias, etc., within the city enter into a written agreement with food recovery organizations for the collection of unwanted edible food and provide documentation to the city annually. Likewise, food recovery organizations must provide to the city annually a list of the food generators that they contracted with and the amounts of food recovered from each. Under our new solid waste agreement, Athens will provide support for this program by identifying and providing outreach to all food waste generators in the city. The solid waste ordinance has been amended to include these changes as required by the state. And there's a summary of them listed here. That concludes my presentation. Thank you. Staff recommendation is to adopt the new ordinance, and available here to answer your questions.
Thank you very much. I'm going to wait until I see the screen again. There we go. Okay, thank you. I can now see the participants. Are there any questions? Mr. Adam. And then followed by...
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Yeah, this situation is going to take some getting used to for our residents. You know, a lot of us are very intent on recycling and doing the right thing when it comes to the environment. And now the state wants us to also include our organic wastes in the recycling bins so they can be composted and not end up in landfills. Because when organic waste end up in landfills, they create methane gas, and methane gas is a greenhouse gas that creates global warming. And it also takes up more room in the landfills, and we're running out of space there as well. So it's going to mean in a household, you're going to probably need an extra container to keep your organic waste in. Your banana peels, your potato peels. I'm assuming, Dr. Cox, that could mean meats and poultry and bones. Is that all included in this?
Yes, any kind of food waste and food prep waste. Yes, absolutely.
All right, that's interesting. And of course, for single homes, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get used to. But it's going to also apply to commercial establishments like restaurants because they produce a lot of this stuff. So it's all good. I think that it's just one more step the city's going to take to comply with the state and to cut greenhouse gases. And I'm looking forward to the transition. And like I said, it's going to take a little getting used to, but hey, in the old days, we just used to lump all the trash together and throw it out all at once. And we don't do that anymore, so we'll get used to this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. Mayor Pro Tem Engler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And to speak of the old days, we used to just take it out back and burn it. But
that's right.
That doesn't work either. So
right. We did the same thing, Bob.
Thank you. Yeah.
Crazy.
We have come a long way and in a good direction, in my opinion. So I think just a couple of quick questions. I think this harkens to our waste hauling contract that I think we'll be talking a little bit about in the future here. Is our current waste hauling contract includes this separation and the ability to recycle all this. Am I correct, Ms. Cox?
Yes. So under the new hauling agreement, all residents and businesses will have containers for organics. Now, residents already have their yard waste bin, so they can just add their food waste to that. If they don't have a yard waste bin, they'll be getting a cart for food waste. And then also for commercial businesses, they will be using a separate organics cart.
And Mr. Adam spoke to this too a little bit. In what way is this going to assist us in lowering our greenhouse gas emissions as a city? Is this going to be a major contributor to our efforts, or is it simply something that we are going to be doing as a result of state law?
It will reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, but our solid waste, actually, it's a relatively small proportion of our emissions. So on a scale of, our city-wide emissions, it's only going to be probably a fraction of a percent that it will lower them. But obviously taking the initiative statewide is going to impact some communities more than others.
And is this one of the sources of, the new fuel, the renewable natural gas that we might be able to have our vendors use?
In some circumstances, it depends where that organic waste winds up. But yes, when it's put into a digester, then it can produce fuel for vehicles. So our waste hauler vehicles will run on renewable natural gas, which could come from landfills, or it could come from captured methane from anaerobic digestion, or it could come from dairy farms, for example.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. We do have one speaker, and he's not on. Okay. We don't have the speaker. I just wanted to say that I'm glad that the city, in fact, California, and possibly the rest of the nation will follow suit. Collecting organic waste is something that other countries have already been doing. And it is interesting. You go to Europe, and everything is organized: organic, paper, light glass, dark glass, and you have several cans. And then you go to Africa, Uganda, for example, and they burn their waste in Uganda still, and probably other African nations. But I'm glad that we're finally getting on that bandwagon. It's about time. Mr. Adam. Mr. Adam, we cannot hear you. There you go.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Jason. Yeah, I'm off mute, aren't I? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Got it. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we have come a long way from burning our trash in the backyard on Sundays. I remember doing that as a kid. And so this is another positive step to lower greenhouse gases, and I'd like to move 8A.
Thank you. We have a motion. Please vote.
We'll close the hearing also and start
Oh, yes,
with-
I'm sorry. I need to close the hearing. This is a public hearing. The hearing is closed, so please vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Adam?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember McNamee?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Engler?
Yes.
And Mayor Bill de la Pena?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0. And your ordinance title is Ordinance Amending Thousand Oaks Municipal Code, repealing in its entirety Title VI, Chapter 2, and adding Title VI, Chapter 2, adopting regulations for solid waste, organic waste, and recyclable materials, collection, processing, and disposal, and making a determination of exemption under CEQA in connection therewith.
Thank you. And we now go to the Council on Aging Annual Report and Survey Update. And that will be presented by the Chair, Rosanna Guerra. And we also have Stephanie Belding, the Vice Chair, available. And then our esteemed Francine Spriegel is available for questions. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and staff. My name is Rosanna Guerra, and I am the Chair of the Council on Aging. As you're aware, in 2009, the City Council adopted the 10-year Master Plan for Aging. In 2020, City Council approved Council on Aging to conduct a follow-up survey. And in 2021, amidst the pandemic, the Council on Aging members were successful in receiving 467 usable responses. We reached out to many organizations, including the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging, the Global Adult Community Center, Many Mansions, Harbor House, Community Conscience, Senior Concerns, Conejo Valley Village, and the Conejo Senior Volunteer Program to reach a diverse group of older adults. The survey was also available in Spanish and in English. The survey data was reviewed by a subcommittee of the Council on Aging, Vice Chair Belding, Commissioners Gitt, Janelle, and Sylvester, and me. We did discover interesting information and have broken it down into these areas: housing, caregiving, fall prevention, transportation, emergency services, and communications. Tonight, we will highlight some of those findings. First, a little background. Since 2009, over 10,000 people a day turn 65, and over 10,000 a day retire. It is the fastest growing demographic, which is why others have now developed and or are implementing master plans for aging. The survey brought to light some useful data. First, a lot more people know about services than they did in 2009. Responses indicated that the top 4 agencies older adults rely on for information and resources are the Thousand Oaks Library, Conejo Recreation and Park District, the Global Adult Community Center, and Senior Concerns. 95% of the respondents use a smartphone, computer, and internet regularly, compared to 67% in 2009. 82% own their own home, in contrast to 2009 results. So we can also report that 91% of the 2021 survey respondents indicated that they now had access to medical, dental, vision services, only noting that certain dental services were not as accessible. This may be due to new medical and dental facilities and or the public health center that was not available in 2009. Now I would like to introduce Vice Chair Stephanie Belding, who will continue the report.
Thank you, Chair Guerra. Good evening, Council. It is a pleasure to speak with you tonight. In the housing category, when respondents were asked what they would do if they decided to relocate out of their current home, 19% selected move out of Thousand Oaks. But when looking at homeowners only, as this chart, we were surprised to find that the percentage rose to 32%. This is considerably higher than in the 2009 survey. We believe this may be the lack of first floor affordable apartments and housing. 37% of homeowner respondents also indicated that they would be interested in putting in an accessory dwelling unit if it were affordable. Some ideas to increase the number of affordable first floor availability would be to explore options to encourage development of ground floor low-income residences for older adults, including redevelopment of aging and unoccupied structures for older adults and disabled housing. This would really benefit all ages with disabilities and older adults. The next category is caregiving. And while not under the purview of the city, we believe that the information is helpful when choosing options for grants. 51% of those who responded as caregivers are family members, and out of those, 1 in 4 need training and respite care. Senior Concerns has a wonderful caregiver program to support family caregivers. Additional funding and marketing for these types of programs could be used for training and respite care. I will now turn it back to Chair Guerra.
Thank you, Stephanie. As you can see from this slide, very few respondents have participated or even know about fall prevention resources. According to a recent publication from the National Council on Aging, 1 out of 4 older adults fall each year. As a result of falls, every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the emergency room, and every 19 minutes, an older adult die. Older adults are hospitalized for fall-related injuries 5 times more often than for injuries from other causes. The Ventura County has an elderly fall prevention coalition, and having a Council on Aging member serve on this coalition may help the Conejo Valley receive more fall prevention classes. We can also market information on home inspections and modification services. As part of this service, the Commission would also track hospital visits due to falls to see what the impact of more people participating has had. There were a few questions in the survey regarding emergency planning. We did learn that 76% of respondents would evacuate immediately, but less than half of them have an emergency kit. We believe that working with nonprofits like volunteer organizations active in disaster to distribute emergency kits, especially for those homebound, would be beneficial. This may give us an opportunity to learn more and get to meet citizens who are homebound and underserved and help disseminate information from the city emergency web pages. As you can see from this slide, transportation responses indicate that very few need or currently utilize public transportation. While we glean some good information, we do feel that the lack of personal connection during the pandemic made it difficult to reach underserved older adults. This barrier may have skewed some of the data, especially in this category. A primary takeaway from this survey is that effective communication is a key component. Utilizing all tools to promote existing older adult services such as caregiving, transit, fall prevention, and emergency information is critical. We also learned that many older adults use social media, Nextdoor, and other electronic forms of communication, so these do work well. But the top places respondents get information is the Acorn and the Global Gazette. So in summary, we believe the City of Thousand Oaks does a good job serving the older adult population and all residents for that matter. There are few things that we could support that would make it that much better. Prioritizing older adult housing, increasing awareness of caregiver services, support for fall prevention resources to reduce hospitalizations, publicizing emergency planning resources and emergency kit availability, plan a future survey or public forum to reach underserved older adults, including monolingual Spanish speakers, enhance communication of service information. We're here to help. Please let us know how we can. Thank you for your time and consideration. And are there any questions?
Thank you very much for your presentation. Let me see if there are questions. I don't see any hands up at this time. All right. Thank you again. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers? Because I don't have any listed. Not sure if anyone joined us.
No, there are not.
None? Okay, very good. All right, Mr. Adam.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. You know, one stat that was up there that was rather interesting, provocative, I hadn't really heard before, was that a third of all our seniors consider moving out of Thousand Oaks. And I think one of the reasons given was that they're looking for single-story homes or single-story apartments, whatever it is, to, do away with the falling risk. And I get that. Seniors don't necessarily want a two-story house to live in. But I just wonder if part of it, too, is that they need to monetize the equity in their home to live off of. And that means sometimes leaving the area to find something cheaper so you can capture that difference in price to live off of till you're gone. I wonder if that's also part of it. I guess I'm not really asking this question to anybody in general, but I'm kind of surprised to see that statistic. And I think the speaker mentioned that they had never seen that percentage that high.
Well, Mrs. Guerra, are you able to answer the question, perhaps?
I think what we gleaned from the information is that, yes, a lot of the homeowners that are moving into retirement age may have had like maybe a 3,000 square foot home, anywhere from 2,400 to 3,000, maybe 2 stories. So as they're going into retirement, a lot of their children have moved out. So they want to downsize. But if they're going to downsize, it isn't necessarily to, take out the equity, but to really downsize to something that's more manageable. And even if you downsize, in this marketplace, what can you really downsize to? So, there really isn't that much of an inventory for 1-story homes that would be, anywhere that would be within the 1,000 to 1,500 square foot or less than that. That would be manageable and that would be supportive as well. So that's kind of what I've been gleaning, and there just isn't that much. And so if you have to, downsize, where are you going to downsize to if there's not that much inventory?
Interesting. So you're finding that there's a lack of 1-story homes that and smaller that people and older people in Thousand Oaks could downsize to.
Correct. Yes. And I think that if you talk to realtors, you'll find that as well, that there just is, and just in my own conversation with realtors, there isn't that much of a inventory on 1-story homes. I know that, Thousand Oaks is considered as, was considered a bedroom community for a long period of time. So there is more of a 2-story home. If you're older, you're not going to be going up and down stairs all the time. And I know that from my own, my own experience. I have a 2-story home. I know that at some point I'm going to have to put it on the market or, pass it on or do something, but it's just not feasible to look at a 2-story home when it's just you and your husband, or if it's just yourself. And I think the other part of it too is that people do want to stay in the community, but it's really expensive to think about having an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit in the back. And there are some properties in Thousand Oaks that do have a lot of land in the back, but because it's so cost prohibitive, it isn't there isn't a way around that. So that's another consideration. Because I know a lot of families want to maybe pass on their home because it's fully paid for, and then have an ADU in the back. So, housing affects everyone in California, as I'm sure that you know.
Well, it's good information to consider as we move forward in meeting our housing challenges here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Engler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and my compliments to a very nicely crafted report by our commission. I was impressed by the almost 500 responses to your survey, which is a pretty good cross section. Now, one of the things that jumped out at me, though, was you mentioned, I think in terms of emergency preparedness, that 75%, if I remember the number right, of your participants in the survey mentioned that they were would evacuate if they needed to. But there was a disconnect, I think, because only half of them, or 40-something%, actually have taken time to make an escape plan and a kit. Did you delve into that at all, as why that disconnect exists? And did you get any findings on that?
So I think the good news for the city and for just emergency preparedness is that messaging does work. So whatever people are saying and doing, because I know that just having worked in the field over the past few years with fire, a lot of times people are reluctant, even though you get the phone call to evacuate until it's too late. So I think emergency preparedness, the messaging works, but the disconnect is, okay, it's going to happen, but what do I need to do? And that, I think, just is maybe having more opportunity for people to kind of put it together. What do I need to do? Rather than waiting at the last moment when you're getting that call from the sheriff's department, as I have. And I've had to evacuate a couple of times, and then you're scrambling because it's just human nature. You're just thinking it's not going to happen to you. But I think that we've realized by living in Thousand Oaks that it is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And that fire season is 12 months a year now because of climate. But I think that it's just one of those things where you still need to constantly be telling people, especially older adults, that might need more time to gather their things, especially if they're homebound, how to put things together and how to, their medication. It just is more, it just needs to be organized a little bit more. And it's just like a second step that maybe people haven't fully realized how to do it and what needs to be done.
Thank you. And then you mentioned one other thing that I wondered if you had any further information on it. You mentioned that some of our non-English speaking residents, were you able to contact them very much, or how did that go, and how did you get information from our non-English speaking neighbors?
So if we were to do the survey again, because of the pandemic, we did do it in Spanish. So the survey was done in both English and Spanish and available online. And we tried to do outreach to organizations that help underserved. But again, that would have to be done again so that we can make sure that we reach our monolingual Spanish or, any other language. So it's a matter of networking. And during the pandemic, sometimes that was a bit of a challenge.
Well, thank you for that. And again, good job on the report. Looking forward to delving into it deeper.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that we do need a motion to receive the report, direct staff to explore report considerations, and to direct the Council on Aging to update and repeat the survey.
I'll move the recommended action, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Jones moves. Mr. Adam, you had your hand up? But probably...
Good.
Okay. Very good. Then we have a motion by Mr. Jones, and I have a question for, I guess, Mrs. Guerra or Ms. Belding. Is there anything else that you wanted to include in this recommendation, or was that it?
I think that we, as a subcommittee, and then in speaking with Francine Spriegel, we came up with those recommendations.
Because it also says to explore report considerations, but we will keep exploring regarding housing for seniors as well. Okay, then please vote.
Councilmember Adam?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember McNamee?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Engler?
Yes.
And Mayor Bill de la Pena?
Yes.
And that motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the report. Very good information to have. Next, we have our Climate and Environmental Action Plan, draft strategies. That's item number 10. And this will be presented by our Sustainability Division Manager, Helen Cox, PhD, climate scientist, etc.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to share my PowerPoint presentation here. So just, I'm not sure that it, hold on one sec. Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I'm here to provide an update on the city's Climate and Environmental Action Plan, or CEP. Also with me this evening and available to answer your questions is Senior Sustainability Analyst Joan Brooks. The desire to develop a climate action plan came from the community as part of a year-long visioning process that was conducted in 2014. Each council member led a focus area, and 5 groups met monthly from April to October in 2014. At the conclusion of Visioning 2064, each committee reached a consensus on the top 10 guiding principles for the city to implement over the next 50 years. Amongst these was the development of a climate action plan. For the past 3 years, Council has established sustainability planning in its top 10 priorities, identifying the development of this plan as one of their top 10 goals for this year. Even without an adopted climate action plan, the city is not delayed in taking action, and just last month was acknowledged for its efforts to address climate change by the Institute for Local Government with a Vanguard Award for a 28% reduction in community greenhouse gas emissions from 2010 to 2020. So we're off to a good start. So what is a climate action plan, and why do we need one? Just under 3 months ago, the IPCC, or Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, released its most comprehensive assessment of climate change yet, stating in no uncertain terms that it's unequivocal that humans are to blame, that temperatures will keep rising, and that we're running out of time to meet the goal of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. The data speaks for itself. The planet is warmer now than it has been in over 2,000 years. And the changes that we see cannot be accounted for through natural variations. Temperature rise caused by carbon dioxide levels and other greenhouse gases, such as methane, have led to many other global changes, such as those shown here. And the impacts shown here are not just a long way off or a long way away. They're here in the county right now. Impacts are not just on the environment, but also on the economy. Earlier this year, the New York Times reported that the world could see as much as a $23 trillion loss in reduced annual global economic output worldwide as a result of climate change. We live in a state that is a global leader in tackling climate change. In 2006, AB 32 set California's first greenhouse gas target to reduce emissions to 1990 levels by 2020. Then, in 2016, SB 32 extended the goals of AB 32 and established a goal of reducing emissions 40% from 1990 levels by 2030 and 80% by 2050. A climate action plan is the document that defines the pathway to that emission reduction. Although the city is not mandated to develop its own climate action plan, state law requires the city to integrate climate adaptation into its general plan, and under CEQA, it must analyze the greenhouse gas emissions and effects on climate change of all proposed projects. By establishing its own climate action plan, the city can define its own pathway and strategies for emission reduction, adaptation, and resilience. These are the steps to developing a climate action plan. Since reporting to Council in January, we've updated our greenhouse gas or GHG emissions inventory through 2020, the most recent data available. The breakdown of the city's 2020 emissions by sector is shown here. Community sources include both emissions that the city has direct control over and those that result from community activities, which are directly and indirectly impacted by local government decisions. As you can see, transportation accounts for by far the largest proportion of community emissions, followed by natural gas. Then more minor sources like solid waste, water delivery, and hydrofluorocarbons, or HFCs. Note that electricity is a small percentage of overall emissions as a result of the use of clean power throughout the city. Historical emissions since 2010 are shown here. 2010 is the furthest back for which we have good data and has been established as our baseline year. Significant strides have been made in reducing community emissions over the past decade, with 2020 emissions almost 28% lower than the 2010 city baseline values. This reduction is primarily due to energy conservation, a transition to more renewable energy, and improved vehicle fuel efficiency. The most significant reduction occurred in emissions from electricity use in 2019 and 2020 as a result of Council's decision to switch to Clean Power Alliance as the community's default provider at 100% renewable energy, which began in early 2019. Here you see the same GHG emissions inventory with projections added out to 2050, predicated on successful implementation of various state legislative policies. You can see there that in the orange, the transportation is the biggest sector there on the bottom, and then above that in yellow is the electricity, and then above that is natural gas, and then the more minor sources. So this model, projecting out, accounts for the greening of the electricity grid, a reduction in HFCs, and cleaner vehicles as a result of low emission vehicle regulations in the state. According to this model, in 2030, we would have a 39% reduction over 2010 emissions, but it does fall short of meeting the 2050 target of 80% reduction. Since electricity emission reductions in the city have largely been realized, the remaining ways to achieve significant further reductions are to address the other major emission sources, transportation, and natural gas use. In January, Council was asked to establish preliminary working targets for the CIAP. The working targets for the CIAP that were established in January align with the state's. Council then directed staff to develop strategies that would meet or exceed these emission reductions. Since then, the federal government has set even more aggressive targets to reduce emissions by 50% by 2030 in order to avoid the most dangerous impacts from climate change. Work on the action plan has been taking place for the past year. Besides an updated emissions inventory, work has included stakeholder and public engagement to solicit strategy ideas and feedback, and a preliminary analysis of those strategies. The action plan is divided into the sectors that contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. Within each sector, actions that reduce emissions have been identified through research and community engagement. In addition, the environmental section of the plan will identify opportunities for additional environmental stewardship. There are 4 primary mechanisms available to the city for tackling emissions, as shown here. One is to take direct action in areas where the city has control over activities in its own facilities and its own operations, and this is ongoing. Another one is providing guidance and resources to the community to aid others in taking action themselves. The third mechanism is through monetary incentives. These can require a substantial budget commitment. To date, the city has largely relied on the federal government, the state, and the utilities for these. Fourthly, are so-called REACH codes, or local municipal codes, that establish building requirements beyond those that are mandated by the state. These take many forms and have been the primary tool used by municipalities throughout the state to accelerate emission reduction. And we'll come back to those. So, addressing the building energy sector, the state has established green building and energy efficiency standards, so-called Title 24 standards. Although these apply primarily to new buildings, they also come into effect for additions and building modifications, depending on the size and scope of the project. As mentioned, REACH codes are local building codes that go beyond those mandated by the state. Examples would be things like electric-only buildings, additional solar requirements, EV charger or EV-ready requirements beyond those that are in the state code. The city started to receive electricity supplied by Clean Power Alliance in early 2019. The program offers 3 different renewable energy options shown here on the left. Council selected 100% renewable electricity as the default supply for the city, and participation at this level has remained high. For those choosing to remain with SCE, the grid is slowly greening, so an increasing proportion of their electricity will come from renewable resources over time. The availability of zero-emissions clean electricity makes shifting energy use from natural gas to electricity the most impactful way of reducing greenhouse gas emissions in buildings. Natural gas use in buildings constitutes 20% of our GHG emissions. The REACH code with the most profound implications for reducing emissions from natural gas is known as electrification. This would require that new construction be all electric and prohibit new natural gas connections. It can be employed for residential buildings only or for both residential and commercial. One side benefit of all electric buildings is the improvement they can bring to occupant health by reducing indoor air pollution. Another alternative that's been employed by some cities is called electric preferred option, in which developers can choose to go all electric, or they can use mixed fuel and have gas hookups as well. If they do that, the building then is required to be built to a higher energy efficiency standard. So here is a summary of cities that have adopted some form of electrification code to date. So 50 jurisdictions, there's about 450 others that have not. And sorry, the font size may make this a little harder to read. I've highlighted those that have adopted these codes in Southern California. So the ones under the yellow dot there that show mixed fuel option, they're the ones that have what we would call electric preferred. So you could go all electric or you could use gas, but with a higher efficiency code. And the 2 columns on the right in green are cities that have established some kind of gas ban in their city. So that's one form of REACH code that's been adopted by some cities. Another REACH code that's been adopted by some cities is called PV, photovoltaic or solar REACH codes. These kinds of codes would add solar requirements on new construction above those that are currently required by Title 24. And currently Title 24 requires solar on new residential buildings that are 3 stories or under, but it doesn't require it on commercial buildings. So these are the cities that adopted some form of local solar ordinance. A major challenge in tackling emissions from buildings is how to address the existing building stock. 50% of the city's housing stock was built before 1978, and only 6% since 2005. While tough standards can be set for new construction, most of the city's buildings will remain unchanged. A couple of different options have been used by other cities for transitioning existing buildings to clean electricity. One is to require that when gas appliances are replaced, they're replaced with an electric alternative. That's what we call a burnout ordinance. Another is to establish a phase-out date requiring that newly installed equipment be electric by a certain date. To date, just 15 municipalities in California have adopted local REACH codes that address existing buildings, and these are certainly the toughest ones to get through. Another one that's also can help with existing buildings is something we call information disclosure. And what information disclosure does is it requires property owners to disclose the energy use or energy efficiency of their properties. And for homeowners, that disclosure would be a disclosure to potential buyers at the time of sale. And for apartment owners, it would be disclosure as part of the rental listing. So moving now to transportation. 62% of the city's emissions come from transportation, primarily from passenger cars. The 3 approaches we can take to reducing these emissions are to reduce the miles driven, to shift drivers to alternative means of transport, or to shift vehicles to low or zero emission vehicles. The single most impactful measure that the city can take to reduce the miles driven, the first of those, is a change in land use to allow for more mixed-use development with on-site or proximate access to services, so that you have denser and more walkable development and opportunities also for people to both live and work in the city. And this type of land use development was endorsed by council this year with new mixed-use designations, including the preferred land use map that was selected for the general plan. Alternative transport, such as bicycles, scooters, and buses, can be encouraged by the city, providing related infrastructure such as dedicated bike lanes and paths, and pursuing opportunities identified in its recently adopted 2019 Active Transportation Plan. The city continues to pursue these with its ongoing Willow Lane and Rancho Road pedestrian and bike-friendly improvements, and restriping streets to add bike lanes in the city. Moving now to the third of those strategies on clean vehicles or electric vehicles. By 2035, California will sell only clean, zero-emission new passenger cars and trucks. A massive shift to zero-emission or electric vehicles would likely have the largest impact on the transportation emissions in the city of any single strategy. Electric vehicles are already cost competitive with fossil fuel vehicles, in particular when rebates are taken into effect. And the cost of owning an EV, both in maintenance and in powering mile for mile, is already less than a gasoline vehicle. The city can help support this shift in a number of ways: by taking direct action to employ more chargers, by educating, aiding, and incentivizing the deployment of public chargers, particularly in existing multifamily developments, and by increasing charging requirements for new development. These are the cities who've adopted local ordinances or so-called REACH codes to add electric vehicle charging requirements above those of Title 24 for new construction. As well as addressing the emissions responsible for climate change, this plan will include strategies for sustaining and enriching our natural environment. We received many ideas, a few of which are presented here. Supporting native habitat, preserving open space, and enhancing our urban forests were popular choices. Pollution concerns from gas-powered landscape equipment and idling vehicles were also concerns that were expressed. There are associated public health benefits from removing these single-source polluters. And Governor Newsom recently passed a law prohibiting the sale of new gas-powered small off-road engines by 2024. This includes most residential lawn and garden equipment. Some cities, such as Ojai within Ventura County, have passed local ordinances banning the use of such equipment. So moving now to the outreach phase, we're continuing to solicit feedback from our residents and businesses as we move forward. Our outreach plans and efforts this year began with the appointment of a 21-member stakeholder group representing a cross-section of the community who provided ideas and feedback on strategies in each sector. The stakeholders were selected to represent both large and small businesses in the city, youth, real estate, many mansions, the education sector, and the hospital. 3 of the 21 members represented environmental groups, such as the Conejo Climate Coalition that we've heard a lot about. The other 18 members were broadly represented the cross-section of the community. We held 4 topic-specific stakeholder meetings, and these were well attended by the public, with between 60 and 100 participants at each. These in-depth workshops were very valuable in promoting active discussion, and the complexity of some of the issues was readily apparent. The forums were particularly useful for vetting ideas, some of which were dismissed as impractical or too costly. Many good ideas came forth, many ideas had or were already being explored by the city. There was clear agreement on where stakeholders wanted to go. They wanted to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but there was sometimes a conflict before what people thought was in the best interest of the environment and what they wanted to do on a personal level. Emerging from these discussions were a number of potential strategies. These ideas and potential strategies were presented at community-wide public meetings, one held at the library in July, and at several tabling events that we held at shopping centers throughout late summer. Most recently, our team engaged well over 100 members of the public at the Rotary Fair 10 days ago. Community members have provided feedback to the ideas through answers to a series of questions and through open comment. We've also created a series of short videos and a dedicated website to tell our climate action planning story. And this will be used to solicit ideas and feedback from the community. Access to these resources is through our dedicated page at toaks.org/climateaction. So what did we hear from the community so far on these different proposed or potential REACH codes? I should say potential. At this point, we're not necessarily even vetting these ideas. The folk we engaged shared these preferences on building REACH codes. A preference for new construction to be electric preferred where gas is permitted over all electric. The concerns over moving to an electric future were primarily around the cost, both of the electricity and also of any upgrades. The numbers at the bottom here show the number of people responding to these questions. Note that this is just the beginning of our outreach to the community on potential strategies, and these charts are not intended to represent the community at large. Most respondents we talked to had a relatively short commuting distance, less than 5 miles. That's actually the chart shown here in the middle. And more than half indicated that they will be at least partially working from home in the future. And so that's the chart on the left, shows the inner ring shows the telecommuting prior to the pandemic, and the outside ring shows the anticipation of telecommuting in the future. There's a significant shift from the situation prior to COVID, when less than a third were telecommuting. 2/3 of respondents are looking into EVs. Sorry, that's the chart on the right. And all of these shifts bode well for our future transportation footprint. So next steps, this is an approximate timeline for the plan. We'll be further developing our dedicated story map website and soliciting public input through that over the next few months. Modeling work on the impact of potential strategies on emissions is scheduled to begin at the start of 2022 and will follow completion of the general plan growth projections, which drive the building energy and transportation emissions. Environmental review will take place in conjunction with that of the general plan next year, after which a full draft of the CIAP will be prepared and presented to council. We understand that there's anxiety surrounding climate change and the need to take action. So the city is not waiting for adoption of the CIAP before taking any action. As I mentioned earlier, the city was recently acknowledged for its reductions in greenhouse gases emissions by 28%. That's a huge accomplishment, but things don't stop there. In just the past year, the city has taken many actions to move us on a clean path forward, adding resiliency measures and continuing our commitment to environmental stewardship. Highlighted here are just a few. We have one microgrid in design and construction at our Hill Canyon treatment plant, and several others that are in the application phase. We have a solar carport in construction at our municipal service center that will meet the annual needs of that facility. And we're putting in the infrastructure to charge our first electric buses. We'll have 2 of those going into service next year. In addition, as I mentioned in actually the previous report, our new solid waste contract will ensure that organics are diverted from the landfill, the trucks being used by the hauler will run on renewable fuel, and unwanted edible food will be recovered and redistributed. Going into effect in January will be council's ban on the sale and distribution of polystyrene, and we continue to make infrastructure improvements to our streets in line with our active transportation plan. We would also like to encourage the community to take action at an individual or collective level. This is a team effort and we're relying on everybody to do their part. These actions here will go a long way to help move things in the right direction, and most will also save money. Reduce waste, use reusables instead of single-use disposables, reduce online shopping deliveries to your home, take energy savings measures in your home, and consider an electric vehicle when you come to replace yours. We'd like to hear from the community on the kind of actions the city should take, so please log into our Climate Action webpage and let us know how you feel. That concludes my presentation. Please share your ideas and thoughts on a cleaner energy future for the city of Thousand Oaks. Thank you very much. Look forward to the feedback from council.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. What a thorough report over what the city has done and continues to do over the last few years. Before I go to my colleagues, I just would like to reiterate that the city of Thousand Oaks was the first city in Ventura County in 2005 to join the Kyoto Climate Agreement. So here we are 16 years later, and we are now, after all these years, putting together a climate and environment or environmental action plan. And 16 years is a long time. Wish we could have done something faster, but I'm glad that nonetheless we're finally at this point where we are ready to acknowledge, at least most of us, climate change, and that we actually have to do something about that. And it is also due to my colleagues' approval of the Clean Power Alliance, and I believe Mayor Pro Tem Bob Engler is representing the city of Thousand Oaks on that board, that we were actually able to reduce greenhouse gas emissions considerably, and it led to the city of Thousand Oaks receiving several awards. Dr. Cox, you mentioned to me previously that citywide, not the city itself, but for municipal facilities, the greenhouse gas reductions were about 80% over 2 years ago. I remember hearing that number, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe that was in the electricity emission.
Yes.
Went down about 80%.
That is more than significant, and we can really make a difference if we go for it. And it does take bold action, and certainly I'm looking to my colleagues also to engage in this. We have right now no hands up, and so we do have several speakers, however. Mayor Pro Tem Engler. Your microphone, please.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew I followed my colleagues, Mr. Adams, in not muting myself. It was really a pleasure to be in receipt of the Beacon Award and the Vanguard Award that indicated some of the work we have done in reducing our GHG exposure within the entire city. And plus, I know you and I and some of the others have been involved in securing grants for electric buses and some of the other things we have put into place. There's more work to be done, and we fully recognize that there's more work to be done. I think with the question I might have for Ms. Cox has to do with, where did I put it here? You mentioned the greening of Thousand Oaks and using sequestering techniques such as planting trees. Are there any other sequestering techniques we should be looking at?
I think planting trees is probably the main one for this community. There are certainly some, if you have an ag region, to do with the way that the soil is treated and burying carbon. But since we don't have ag facilities within our city, then trees would be probably the main one.
So, very good. All right. Well, that's the only question I have right now. I'll leave it to some of my other colleagues to bring up some others, and then perhaps we have a nice discussion later.
Thank you. Councilmember McNamee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dr. Cox, a couple questions for you. When people purchase electric vehicles, do they still receive some sort of tax exempt benefit from the federal or state government to lower the price of that electric vehicle?
Yeah, there are rebates and incentives both at the federal and at the state level. There's a series of different ones. The federal tax credit is $7,500 on some EVs, so that's the one that there's a cap on the manufacturer. So depending on the manufacturer, that incentive money has been reduced for some vehicles, but it's a maximum of $7,500. And then there are also incentives at the state level, a couple of different rebate programs in California. And they actually amount to as much as $11,000 in total that you can get in rebates and incentives currently. And there are additional ones for low to moderate income, also some set aside specifically for that different income range.
I remember when the electronic vehicles first came on the market, some were costing $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. Absent those incentives, they would be cost prohibitive for the average American. With those incentives, brought them down to $35,000, $45,000, putting them in reach. Tell me, which is more expensive, Dr. Cox, using natural gas to cook or electricity to cook? Which is less expensive, which is more expensive?
I don't have data specifically for this region, but in general, the efficiency of the new electric technologies is much higher than the natural gas. And so the amount of the amount of power that you use, the amount of energy that you use is less for the electric options than it is for the natural gas options. Cost-wise, I'm not sure.
How about for heating the house, the dryer to dry clothes and so forth?
Yeah, again, there's a lot of new technologies. It's not the old electric resistance heaters where you're heating a wire and it's glowing and putting out heat. This is heat pump technology, and in the case of stove tops, it's induction stoves, and those technologies are very, very efficient.
Because when I look at the electric bill versus the gas bill for my own house, it's about a fourth of the cost of electric. And again, we don't use much in the way of electric, but it is definitely far more expensive. How do we answer the question that if we start moving over to more electric in the homes, that we already have rolling blackouts that are occurring throughout the Southland Ventura County? If more of us move over into electric, that's just going to make the blackouts more prevalent. How do we address that issue if we increase the electricity?
Well, there's certainly a lot of work that has to be done on grid reliability, and that's well acknowledged within the state. That work is ongoing. I think the other thing to realize is that some of those rolling blackouts are from just the demand management of the grid itself, and there are issues there that need to be corrected. But also they're driven by peak power usage, which is generally in summer. So you're not necessarily really adding much to the electric demand in summer. If you're replacing gas heating, most of that heating takes place in winter. And so what you would be doing is actually bringing the demand curve in winter closer to what it is in summer. So you're sort of evening it out as opposed to pushing the peak a lot higher than what it is.
So during the summertime, though, if people that were using natural gas move over to electric, though, you'd be increasing the electric demand, increasing the more frequent blackouts that we're experiencing. Because I have people sharing with me how with the blackouts, their food in the refrigerator, when it's out for 8, 10, 12 hours, they've lost $400 or $500 worth of food. And for many of these people, they're on fixed incomes. Losing $500 worth of food in the refrigerator because of a blackout, because of the energy demand during the summertime, is quite devastating for them. How do we address that issue if we're going over to more electric?
Right. Well, as I said, that is an issue that's being addressed by the utilities and by the California Energy Commission. So it's a sort of, there's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation here. They're working very, very hard and very diligently to improve resilience, and part of that is putting more resources on the grid in terms of battery energy storage, for example. And then some of it is on a local level to add more renewables at the local level to power, to power our buildings here in town. So it's distributing some of the loads so that the load's not all off the grid. Some of it's more on the local level. And it will take time to make this transition. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. There's not a quick fix. So definitely it's something that needs to be worked on, and that will happen.
Well, you bring up a very good point regarding battery storage. Again, from my engineering days at UCLA, battery storage only goes so far. With the new technology that's out there with batteries, when the sun doesn't shine, when the wind doesn't blow, how is energy generated when that occurs?
So the energy that is generated at those times is stored. There are large utility scale batteries. And also, we rely on other technologies, geothermal, there's small hydro, large hydro. So there's a mixture of technologies, wind, solar. It's fortuitous in that there tends to be more wind when there's less solar. They kind of complement each other. So it has to be, the renewable energy supply has to come from a mixture of technologies for sure in order to be able to balance out, you know, when we have weather changes, but also battery storage is a big new piece of the electricity grid resilience.
And how many days do we get out of battery storage, even using marine batteries or deep charge batteries? How many days do we get out of charging batteries that we can survive as a city with our usage?
Well, it depends if they're being recharged with solar. If we're not recharging them at all, then generally batteries, they can be sized to any amount, but generally batteries are sized to last a day or so if there was no recharge. But again, one can size batteries however much, you know, you like, and then also it depends on what your demand is. Most people wouldn't be running air conditioning off batteries, for example, because that's a pretty large draw.
Well, let me frame it this way. If the clouds are overhead and solar's not generating any energy for us to use in our homes, the wind is not blowing, we have batteries that may last a day. And again, I'm not talking about the individual homeowner. I'm speaking of the utilities. Where do we get our energy if it's a week long worth of cloudy skies, no wind, and the batteries last, you say, a day? Where do we get our energy for the remaining 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days?
So the grid currently is on about 35% renewables right now, and will be up to 50% by 2030. So those challenges are being addressed by CAISO, the independent system operator that manages the grid, and the resources are being deployed in such a way that kind of they're accounting for those kinds of possibilities. In California, even if you have cloud, you still get a pretty high amount of solar energy coming out of it. I mean, if you think that, you know, Germany has operated on sequential days where they've had, you know, been running off solar, and how you know, comparatively cloudy it is there compared to Southern California, even when there's cloud, we still get a fair amount of solar production.
Well, when we have solar panels that are only about 12, 13% efficient, and you throw some clouds overhead, it drops off quite tremendously. And this look towards Europe and, oh, they're doing it there, it's a fantasy. They're having problems with it. And that's my challenge with some of the information that's being put out here in the United States on the efficiencies of solar, is that when the clouds are covered, sun isn't shining, you drop off pretty quick. And if anyone has done any solar engineering, which I've had, it drops off real fast, and that's not going to make it. And again, the geothermal, we have very little geothermal here in the western region here in California. Hawaii, it makes sense because you got the lava flow and it's very close to the surface. I believe it's the Bay Area where actually geothermal takes place, but it's a very minute amount of energy is beneficial for that. So that's my concern as we look at the cost of electricity in my offices, in my home. The cost of electricity keeps going up and up and up. So you have a person, for example, who's on a fixed income, retired, and let's say at the end of the month, they've got $100 left over. But the electric, because they were forced to move from a gas stove or a dryer that was gas over into electric, if we want to move in that direction, my challenge is that $50 may be gone because as electric costs go up quicker than natural gas. And then I look at China and their generation of CO2 and other greenhouse gases with their use of coal to run their power plants, to run their factories. And if you look at India and use of coal there, compared to the United States, compared to California, compared to Ventura County, compared to Thousand Oaks, compared to turning on that natural gas to boil a pot of water, it's a thimble in the ocean. Now, everyone points to, well, we need to have people live where they work so they reduce the trip miles. Well, people actually find where they want to live and something they can afford in that location, and then they commute. The answer here is not mixed use, in my opinion, or creating housing where they work.
Councilmember
where their job
McNamee, I'm
is.
sorry to interrupt. This was for questions only. Mr. Jones has been very patient. You can save your statements for after.
Question, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor, I am coming to a question.
Thank
And if you
you.
would allow me the liberty that you are afforded, I'd like to do the same. So my
Just
question
wanted to
you
be
is- my question
courteous.
to you, Dr. Cox, is the following, is that if you look at the amount of natural gas that's produced compared to India and China, and yet the financial demand that is put on people with fixed income, if we move over to all electric, as we move forward and replace the natural gas utilities in our homes, what kind of impact are we going to have in greenhouse gases when it seems to be transportation that is at issue, and a transportation grid is more important to allow for rapid transit? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree that the transportation sector is a bigger one here in Thousand Oaks than the natural gas sector, for sure. And so it's going to be important to set priorities. However, whatever is the most cost-effective and efficient way to achieve the goals. And our evaluation of the different strategies will bring some of that out. I should say that even in order to adopt an ordinance for one of the electric preferred or electric only options, if the council chooses to go in that direction, there does have to be a cost effectiveness study conducted that goes, and it has to be approved by the California Energy Commission. And so nothing would go into effect without it being able to be shown that it was cost effective to move in that direction.
Thank you. And I appreciate the work you've done on this, and a very, very detailed report and a lot of work doing the focus groups. So I appreciate your effort on doing that. Unfortunately, with the Brown Act, any type of questions or discussion with my fellow council members has to happen in open. So I would appreciate my mayor not interrupting me when I'm asking a question. I would appreciate the courtesy of allowing me to ask the questions the way I see fit. Madam Mayor, turn it back over to you.
Thank you. I forgot to go back to the 3 question per council person. I'll probably do that next time. I forgot today. Thank you for your patience, Councilmember Jones.
Yes, when I came many years ago, there were certain home builders that advertised that they were all electric homes. I don't know, Helen, if you're aware of that. And they had like a medallion on there. I think it was sunk into their concrete front porch. Anyway, the natural gas people fought back and got experts or users of electricity to say that natural gas is much better in the home for heating and cooking and so forth. So there was kind of a struggle back and forth. The question I have is, if we're aiming to try to get everything or almost everything electric, what percentage of the generation of our electricity here in California or Southern California comes from a wind or sun or maybe nuclear? And what percentage do they have to burn, oil or natural gas or coal? Or do you know that?
I believe right now that it's about 36% or 35% that's from renewables, but that doesn't include that doesn't include the hydropower. So on top of that, I'm not sure exactly what the percent is, but there's something like 15% or so on top of that that's actually hydropower. That's also non-greenhouse gas. We don't get power from in the Edison territory. There isn't power generated from coal, just from natural gas burning power plants, and then from these other some nuclear, and then these renewable technologies and hydroelectric. So we have quite a diversification.
They don't burn oil either, just natural gas?
I believe it's just natural gas. Yeah.
And do we have any idea what percent of the electricity does come from burning some substance, natural gas or whatever, that creates pollution? What I'm getting at is, would we ever reach a state or condition in which all or nearly all the electricity did not produce pollution in order to produce the electricity?
Yes, the standards for the state, they're called renewable portfolio standards, require that the grid becomes greener and greener over time. And so there's a gradual stepping up of that. And I think it's 50% by 2030. It might be 60%. I think I have that somewhere in my slides. And actually, Nada just let me know that currently 19% of SCE's power comes from natural gas right now. That was part of your question also. So yes, there is a move over time. The states or the Western states grid, the grid we operate on, it's not just California. It has a pretty wide diversification of power. Some of it comes from Washington State. There's a lot of hydroelectric up there that also contributes to our grid. So over time, more and more of our grid will be powered by renewables. And there is a date at which it's going to be 100% all renewables. I think that's around 2040. I would have to pull up those numbers.
So there is a plan. There is a plan to become 100% renewable sources. Is that it?
Yes, it's actually I just looked it up. So it's 60% by 2030, and it's 100% by 2045. So actually, over the next 10 years, it's going to be more than half, maybe 60%.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you for asking questions, Mr. Jones. Mr. Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, well, there's certainly a contingent that feels we should go all electric, but it looks like by your survey, the general public, the consumer, the majority prefer the mixed fuel approach. Is that correct, Dr. Cox?
From the relatively small sample that we have so far, that's where things are leaning. Again, we would want to do a much larger survey of a bigger, representation of the public in order to really establish that. But that's where things were leaning in our initial results.
Mm-hmm. At this point, yeah, I see. I've heard actually, when it comes to cost for new development, the electric option could actually be cheaper than the natural gas option. But the sticking point is the reluctance on the consumer to accept an all-electric residence. And I suspect the free market's going to have a lot to do with where we go with that type of situation. The other question is, if transportation is 62% of the greenhouse gas emitter problem, the staff report points out that the single biggest thing you can do to lower vehicle miles traveled, VMT, is, as far as housing planning goes, is mixed use projects. And as you know, we just went through quite an arduous land use map that we voted on, where we, in fact, did approve mixed use along the 101 corridor. Would you say that that approval will ultimately be a inhibitor of greenhouse gases if we can bring to fruition our vision of a mixed-use housing plan along the boulevard?
Well, I would say relative to the existing style of development of the city, that it would reduce the vehicle miles driven, which would reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. That will come out of the growth projections that are being for the general plan, which will also produce from those what they call the VMT, the vehicle mile travel projections, and that's what we'll be using. So we expect those vehicle miles traveled for those kinds of properties to be considerably less than the start of the existing development.
I would expect that as well. Certainly, housing was a consideration, but so was the environment. And if you're going to build a mixed-use project that has amenities on the property and things for people to do, they can leave the car in the garage and they can walk, which is a relatively foreign concept here in Thousand Oaks because we are a car city, 55 square miles designed to get in your car to go everywhere. But I mean, there are some cities that are set up in such a way where the car can stay in the garage and people can get out and walk. And I'm glad that our council had the vision to approve that land use map that not only will provide some housing, but will also be environmentally sound and in the long run at lower greenhouse gases, get people out of their cars and have a walkable environment. Thank you, Dr. Cox.
Thank you, Council Member. Yes, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I have an idea to lower pollution. Give every gardener in Thousand Oaks a broom instead of a leaf blower.
Well, how about an electric leaf blower? I think that would be better. All right.
That's all right.
I'd like to ask a couple of questions. First of all, I will, yes, Dr. Cox did mention that in 2014, through our visioning process, this issue was brought up, and it was the community who wanted to go in that direction, and it was also supported through the goals and objectives that the council approves on a yearly basis. Now, yes, the electrification, of course, is something that is still a little foreign to many residents here, perhaps in this nation, I'm not sure. Of course, Europe has done that for a long, long time. Again, they're several steps ahead of us. And yes, California is a car culture. We can't deny that. So my question is, you did mention multifamily housing, and Title 24, does it not require solar panels and EV outlets or charging stations, Ms. Cox?
So it requires new residential construction to have solar as part of the construction, and residential and multifamily that's 3 stories or less. So commercial buildings and 4 stories or more are not required to have solar under the current code. And with regard to EV charging, the single family new construction is required to be prepared and have, a 240 outlet in the garage or in a charging location. For multifamily and commercial, there's a percentage of charging spaces or a number of spaces that have to be ready to put a charger on that are wired or facilitate that charging, but it's not every space, it's a small percentage of the spaces currently.
Well, given that through the initial or a draft general plan map that was adopted, there might be 4-story residential buildings, would it be not behoove us to also ask that 4-story residential buildings have EV chargers and solar panels?
So that would be an example of a local ordinance, local building code or REACH code that council would need to decide if they wanted to move in that direction, and then that would be something that would be part of the plan. And those kinds of ordinances do go through a thorough vetting process through the California Energy Commission before adoption.
And Ms. Cox, what happened to the proposal that was discussed about asking that gardeners or landscaping companies use electric leaf blowers? In fact, professional or commercial landscapers were, I believe, in favor of that. Where are we with that?
So there hasn't been any action. That was one of the strategies that we were getting feedback on. And I don't know if, I don't think I showed those results. So far, the feedback that we have was there was a preference for not allowing gas leaf blowers in the city and possibly electric only. As I did mention, the governor recently banned the sale of those gas leaf blowers from 2024 on. That's not obviously the same as banning their use in the city. So that is an option that's available for council.
Okay. Then, of course, I would like to state that among the stakeholders was SCE, and SCE is very much in favor of the City of Thousand Oaks developing a climate action and environmental plan. Councilmember McNamee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dr. Cox, question for you about the following. The idea is that moving over to all electric for any new construction and or remodeling or replacement of different stoves or dryers in the house, so forth, that is advantageous to the environment, and you're saying it's actually can be more efficient than what currently exists with the electric. Yet the survey shows, again, people still prefer using a combination of both electric and natural gas in their home. The collective wisdom of the people of Thousand Oaks, in my opinion, far exceeds anything that this council can present and make a decision. Why would it not be better to let the open market make that decision if the homeowner wishes to make that new construction all electric or replacing that gas stove and electric stove? If there's such a tremendous cost savings submitted, why not let it up to the wisdom of the people of Thousand Oaks to make that choice instead of 5 council members requiring it?
Well, as far as new construction goes, obviously you don't have the homeowners in that facility to make that decision. And I think one of the issues is that it's a lot cheaper if one wants to move in that direction. And again, this is just a tool that's available, that's on the table. But if one wanted to move in that direction, it's much cheaper and easier to do it during initial construction than to retrofit afterwards. So if you're asking people in existing homes to retrofit, sometimes that can incur additional costs. For example, if you have an older home and have to upgrade the electric panel or something like that. So that's why there's more of a push to do it for new construction, because that's the easier and cheaper option and generally saves money. And
right.
As far as the, sorry.
Go ahead.
The,
yes, I think you're getting to the second part of the question.
Any resistance about using, the electric options? A lot of these technologies are very new, and I think there isn't that much familiarity with them. For example, the heat pump technologies and the induction stoves. Most of the people that we talked to didn't really know very much about them. And so I think that, we're just kind of in the early phases. And until people see them in use and get familiar and see those potential advantages, or, then they take, there's an adoption phase, right? It takes time before the familiarity. But in the end, this is the council's plan. So it's really up to the council to decide which direction, they will want to go on these things. And I'm just offering some, reasons that you might see one preferred over another.
So just to clarify, it sounds like education of the benefits and let the consumer make that choice as compared to 5 council members telling the city of Thousand Oaks and the consumer on how they should move forward with any new construction or remodeling of their home or replacing some of the different appliances in their home. Is that an option here, just to educate and let them consumer make their choice?
So certainly the more education and the ability to see those technologies in use would be is definitely beneficial for people to be able to make that choice, and that's one of the options. One of the options at your disposal is to choose a mechanism such as, education as opposed to mandates.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Cox, in your presentation, I didn't see anything, or maybe I missed it, about public health. We know that natural gas stoves do lead to asthma among children. We are also now going to be building apartments right next to the 101 freeway and next to the Thousand Oaks Boulevard. So we have this double whammy of fumes and then gas in houses. And I know that that's one of many reasons why other countries have gone already in the way of electric appliances. Do you have any information, statistics regarding the impact of these, the health impacts of gas as well as living close to freeways?
I don't have data at my fingertips that will about the public health, any statistics on that, but I do know that indoor air pollution is a major contributor to asthma, and that's fairly well documented. I also know that the city of Berkeley actually passed a gas ban based on health benefits. So that would be a good resource for seeing what the basis of that was. But obviously that can be research that we can do.
Thank you. Yes, the council's role is to set policy, of course, and we do that with the feedback from the community in mind. And the survey that you took at the street fair and elsewhere is just a small sample, as you said, and you intend to do more community outreach. Mayor Pro Tem Engler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just I guess a point of clarification, and this question for Ms. Cox. You're asking just for input from us tonight. We're not voting on any particular items tonight. It's just give you some feedback. Is that what you're looking for? Or are we actually going to be voting on these different ordinance flavors that you have presented tonight? I think, whereas I agree with my colleague, Councilmember McNamee, that the public does help guide us. I do understand that there's our job is to weigh all the input coming in, and there's input coming in from all aspects of this. Are we looking at voting on this tonight, or you're just looking for input?
No, the point this evening's session is really to lay out the background for you and also the tools at your disposal. So just some background, sort of general information for the community also on what the different options might be and the kinds of strategies that other cities have adopted so that you can start to consider those. But no, this is not, we're not looking for votes on any particular strategy.
So I would imagine at some point you will have a cafeteria of items we could take a look at and decide in that time, or?
Yeah, the idea would be for us to do the actual projected emission savings from the different strategies so that you then actually have some data to base those decisions on also.
Thank you.
Councilmember Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. I know back in 1970, the median age of the city was 22 years old, and here we are in 2021, the median age is 44. As we just heard on the Council of Aging report, there's a lot of older people that have been living in their homes for a long time. In fact, the staff report says that 50% of our homes here in Thousand Oaks were built before 1978. So I have a real concern about electric retrofitting and the cost involved. Dr. Cox, if somebody's water heater goes out and they have to go by mandate from the council electric, is there not a considerable cost involved to doing that, something like that?
Right now, if you were to go with the heat pump water heaters, you would need to have both an electrician and a plumber, which clearly is going to cost you more than just a plumber, which you would just need for a traditional water heater. So yes, there are additional costs. You also would need to make sure that you don't need any kind of electric panel upgrade, depending on the extent of the retrofit that you were doing. so there are potential costs. Again, the technologies are out there, but they're not widely being applied at this time in a retrofit setting. And so, but some of those new technologies have significant rebates associated with them. For example, heat pump water heaters have, I think it's something like $1,000 rebate. So they are being incentivized right now by the utility companies in order to offset some of those additional costs.
Well, thank you, Dr. Cox. I do think cost is a factor here, especially for our seniors on fixed income. So I hope that, as we progress with this process, that we take that into consideration. And just one other quick thought, I'm still convinced that walkability is a big factor in this whole thing. I mean, when you leave your house, you have a decision. Am I going to put my Nikes on and walk somewhere? Or am I going to back the car out and give it the gun and head down the road? And all too often in Thousand Oaks, it's back the car out and hit the road. I really think that with careful planning and with some encouragement from the community, it's going to take time, but we can shift that here in the city. And we can get more people walking and get more cars off the road. And I'm really looking forward to that gradual transition. Thank you.
That would be a great transition indeed, Mr. Adam.
Claudia.
Yes.
I hope your house isn't filled with gas fumes.
Actually, it is, and my next stove will be electric. So I have I have a wonderful half electric, half gas stove, but it is in perfect condition. And my house was built before 1970, and so it is. No, I'm not in new construction, but I envy my sister's induction stove. I really do. So it is beautiful, easy to use, doesn't take long to get used to it, to learn it. Highly, highly, highly recommended. And so my next appliance will be indeed a electric stove or an oven. However, that does not preclude me from using gas elsewhere in the house, such as the gas heater and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have
the
to be
mixed fuel approach.
Correct.
There you go.
And so, but thank you for asking. So we do have several speakers, and let me see here. I count 15. So the first one, I believe, is Barbara Layton, joining us via video. Then we have Jennifer Burke and Katie Davis. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Layton. I live in Newbury Park. I'm a grandmother who remembers the first birthday in 1970. And there was a wonderful sense of promise that people could come together, honor the earth, and build a better future. In time, significant improvements were made in reducing some of the visible pollution of smog-filled cities and burning rivers of those days. But the unseen greenhouse gases continued to accumulate at an ever-increasing rate. Cell phones, laptops, internet, along with the traumas of life, have taught me that change can happen quickly, for better or for worse. The climate crisis has been growing all these years. When tipping points are reached, drastic change can be irreversible for future generations. I'm really grateful our city council had the foresight to establish the sustainability division with the expertise to propose measures necessary to deal with our climate crisis. And I urge you to do all you can to protect young lives, those not born yet, and the future well-being for all in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jennifer Burke and then Katie Davis. Good evening.
Thank you. I'm Jennifer Burke. I'm a Newbury Park resident and a parent of a young child. I also represent our area in the Clean Power Alliance's Community Advisory Committee. This is my first public comment to the council. I'm speaking tonight to support the city's sustainability department and all the public engagement activities they've hosted, and to applaud the city's success in its work to address climate change to date. But we have to recognize there's more to do, and that moving away from polluting energy sources and toward clean power is the way to do it. We're fortunate to live in Thousand Oaks with its beautiful open spaces, but I worry that my child's experience growing up is going to be so different than my own. The wildfires with their unprecedented intensity, the worsening heat, the smoky, dangerous air. Every time I walk outside my home and smell burning, I wonder if it's just my neighbors using their fireplace or if it's another wildfire nearby. These impacts are so different than anything any of us have ever experienced. They're getting worse, and they'll continue getting worse until we take action. I want my child and their children to be able to grow up here safely. But to do that, we need to take every action we can as a city and a community to stop pumping pollution into our environment. One of the most significant contributors to climate pollution, both in our city and around the world, is natural gas. Not only am I concerned about natural gas polluting our atmosphere, as a mom, I'm scared that burning gas for heating and cooking causes toxic air pollution inside my home. It's hazardous to my and my child's health. The Clean Power Alliance provides Thousand Oaks with 100% renewable energy. It's an obvious choice to lower natural gas pollution from our buildings by approving codes that require new buildings to use electricity and not natural gas. Council members, tonight, I hope you're hearing how urgent it is to do everything in your power to protect our community from the more intense fire season, more intense drought, and a warming planet. I heard a speaker earlier this evening say that you should focus on important issues. And my question to you is, what more important issue is there than protecting the future of our city? Please, let's take the most ambitious action we can to reduce climate pollution, including from natural gas, to protect your current constituents and our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Katie Davis, followed by Kat Selm, and then Roseanne Witt. Good evening.
Yes, hello. My name is Katie Davis, and I'm chair of the Sierra Club Los Padres chapter, tonight representing our thousands of members and supporters in Thousand Oaks. Thank you so much for this climate plan update and the great progress on clean energy. It will be great to have a plan next year, but of course, it's even more important to have actions that you can take next year. In terms of the all-electric building code, I do want to note on the timing, many jurisdictions are implementing a REACH code like this next year, including Santa Barbara County and Ventura County, because they're planning to save time and money by doing it at the same time as the 2022 building code updates that you have to do anyway, which take effect January 2023. So this might be a good thing to bring forward for discussion specifically, also considering that there's confusion about what a gas ban versus the electric preferred. Electric preferred still means requiring electric is just you can pay a fee to if you really want gas. So actually most people in that survey did want some kind of REACH code. So it'd be good to have a discussion specifically about this and to bring it forward and consider this timeline for implementation next year. Clean Power Alliance also offers some grants to help pay for work on this kind of code. Gas prices are also increasing, so it's important to make sure that new construction is affordable and electric as soon as possible. And I'm sure all of you know housing affordability is a huge issue. And there is no doubt that building with one energy system is less expensive than building with two. So not having to put in that gas line is a huge cost savings. The statewide utility code and standards says the average cost savings is $5,000 per home. And it may be greater than that now with lower prices for these appliances. So if we want more affordable homes, we should make them all electric. They're also more affordable to live in. a comprehensive study commissioned by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power found that all electric homes result in savings of up to $540 per year relative to a gas-fueled home. So that's thousands of dollars in savings. And remember, these residences have solar too. So this really makes for a lower cost of living. And this is something that we need to do education on. There is misinformation out there. I will note that a lot of these REACH codes, there's no problem implementing them in Northern California. PG&E sells both gas and electricity, and they support these codes. The issue we're having here in SoCal gas territory is they're fighting these a bit and providing some misinformation. But what we found is that when you actually do a presentation on the REACH codes and the benefits of them and do some education, people really support these codes, and it has not been a problem. Santa Barbara just implemented a very
Thank you.
a gas ban. So
Thank you very much. Your time
you
is
very
up.
much.
Mhm. Next up, we have Kat Selm, followed by Roseanne Witt, and then Clint Foltz.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Kat, and I'm a resident of Thousand Oaks. And I'm here tonight to praise the work of the council on having the foresight in 2014 to start actually visioning this process. Adopting and enacting a strong climate and environmental action plan that reduces our emissions will be one amazing action, adding to your legacy of environmental achievements. In 2020, you voted unanimously to ban the use, distribution, and sale of polystyrene. Polystyrene contributes to an abundance of land and marine debris and leaches toxic chemicals into the environment. In your wisdom, you joined the Clean Power Alliance, cutting our community emissions by 28% and our municipal emissions by 20%, and giving residents more energy choices. You've made decisions over the years that put our Hill Canyon treatment plant on the map as a state-of-the-art facility, winning numerous environmental and sustainability awards. You recently contracted with a waste hauler that will provide green waste bins to every residential customer in the city, reducing our methane contributions at local landfills and actually saving us money in the process. You made these decisions by looking to the future and planning for a more prosperous, fiscally sound, and environmentally sustainable Thousand Oaks. Tonight, I urge you to provide the same vision and insight to the adoption of a strong CAP that boldly cuts our emissions and ensures a resilient future for Thousand Oaks in the face of climate change. Climate models for our region, initiated by Watershed Coalition of Ventura County and the Desert Research Institute, predict a future of more dry days, which in turn means a higher likelihood for wildfire activity, and increasing rainfall intensities, which change how water is captured and stored and leads to increased flooding. However, climate models throughout the world are being shown to be on the conservative side when compared to actual conditions on the ground. This may mean that the future of resource sustainability in the Conejo Valley is even more at risk than scientists have predicted. In times of crisis and uncertainty, we look to our leaders and those that we respect and admire to shepherd us through the darkness and to provide moral leadership. This is your time to provide this leadership that tells the people of your community that you care about the air we breathe. You care about the environment that your fellow community members want to share with their children, and that you care about the long-term livability of the location which you steward. Thank you for your environmental leadership up to this date, and I really look forward to you adopting a strong and effective CAP that puts Thousand Oaks on a trajectory to significant emissions reductions and a livable future for us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Roseanne Witt, followed by Clint Foltz, and then Eduardo Zarate.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Roseanne Witt from TO. In 2014, this community prioritized and our city council approved climate action plan, continuing TO's longstanding commitment to environmental leadership. Thank you. In 2019, TO enrolled in the Clean Power Alliance with a 100% renewable electricity default. That foresightful decision by our city council has cut our GHG emissions from electricity to just 4% of our community's total. Thank you. Last October, the council unanimously approved ending the sales, use, and distribution of single-use styrofoam. The new law will cut litter, cleanup costs, toxic emissions, and health consequences related to single-use disposals. Thank you. In January, this council voted 5-0 to install a microgrid at the Hill Canyon wastewater treatment plant, allowing that facility to run independently from the electric grid during power outages. Large-scale local solar generation plus battery storage microgrids are another wise investment for safety and resilience. Thank you. In April, this council included our CIAP in its top 10 priorities to improve public and environmental health, reduce air pollution, protect our energy supply, reduce wildfire and extreme weather threats, and support a healthy economy. Thank you. I often come here asking you to act with urgency. Tonight, I come as a homeowner who watched the Woolsey fire burn within 2 lots of my home, and as a parent who has comforted my panicked child with fossil fuel pollution triggered asthma as she gasps for breath. To remind you, this is not about abstract chemical gases, but homes, families, and health. And to thank you for your leadership in the past, to thank the sustainability staff for their commitment and hard work, and to ask you to implement a bold, comprehensive CIAP. Please make it count for all of us who are counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Mr. Adam.
May I interject?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't usually break in on public comments, but since we're touting some of the city's environmental awareness, I do want to add, and I appreciate the Conejo Climate Coalition pointing out some of the good things that we have done environmentally. I really feel compelled to add that the city has also banned the use of anticoagulant rodenticides. We understand the poisonous nature that these compounds have on our environment and how they work their way up to our apex predators and threaten our mountain lion population, our coyote population, and we do not use those in the city. And we wish we could get that banned commercially throughout the entire city. Hopefully that will come, but we're not using those deadly compounds at all. Thank you.
Excellent point. Indeed, it is at municipal facilities, CLU too, being a private entity, and I too look forward to when commercial entities will do the same and not use, because I still see the poison boxes. But
yes.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. That's an important point.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Good, good. Next up is Clint Foltz, followed by Eduardo Zarate, and then Faith Grant.
Hello, my name is Clint Foltz. I live in Thousand Oaks, and I'm a member of the Conejo Climate Coalition. Thank you for an excellent report, Dr. Cox. We should definitely listen to the experts. A recent study from Cornell University titled "Greater than 99% Consensus on Human-Caused Climate Change in the Peer-Reviewed Scientific Literature" found that more than 99.9% of peer-reviewed scientific papers agree that climate change is mainly caused by humans, according to a new survey of 88,125 climate-related studies. I'll quote Benjamin Holton, co-author of the study. "It is critical to acknowledge the principal role of greenhouse gas emissions so that we can rapidly mobilize new solutions, since we are already witnessing in real time the devastating impacts of climate-related disasters on businesses, people, and the economy," end quote. It's with this in mind, I'd like to commend the City of Thousand Oaks, the Thousand Oaks City Council, Madam Mayor, and the Sustainability Division for addressing the climate crisis and working to reduce greenhouse gases by enacting a strong climate and environmental action plan. I was fortunate to be part of the Single-Use Disposable Stakeholders Group last year, along with Al Adams and members of the Sustainability Division. I'd like to thank everyone involved, and I'd like to thank the City Council for approving the ordinance and helping to reduce the amount of plastics and SUDs in our city. The Sustainability Division's outreach programs have been informative and engaging, and I'd encourage anyone listening to this to attend their events in the future. The efforts of the City of Thousand Oaks has not gone unnoticed, and we truly appreciate the photovoltaic systems in municipal buildings and the renewable energy used at the Hill Canyon Wastewater Treatment Plant. Also, thank you to the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission for the great meetings, the 2022 pavement program, and the possibility of much needed additional bike lanes. Transportation accounts for 62% of our greenhouse gases here in Thousand Oaks, as was mentioned before. So everything we can do to reduce that number is important and very much appreciated. With the city's climate and environmental action plan, our community has the opportunity to address the climate crisis and plan for an uncertain future in which droughts, food scarcity, supply chains disruptions, and wildfires will affect our daily lives. So thank you to the City of Thousand Oaks for looking forward and taking action now.
Thank you. Next up, Eduardo Zarate, Faith Grant, and then Francis Lee. Eduardo is not with us, then Faith Grant, and then Francis Lee.
Good evening. My name is Faith Grant, and I live in Westlake Village. Ventura County has 10 cities, and of these 10, the residents of Thousand Oaks are fortunate that our city council made the creation of a climate action plan a top 10 priority back in 2014, and has consistently provided funding for a climate and environmental action plan. A CAP is necessary as Ventura County's average temperature has already increased 4.7 degrees since 1895, making ours the fastest warming county in the continental United States. That average temperature is projected to climb 3 to 5 degrees over the next 20 years, according to the Western Regional Climate Center. So it's critical that our city identify and adopt strategies that will reduce greenhouse gases emitted by human activity, as these emissions are significant drivers of the climate crisis. Our city council's achievement of banning polystyrene, installing solar panels on municipal buildings, and using renewable energy for the Hill Canyon Waste Treatment Plant are commendable. I encourage the city to tackle its two largest sources of GHG emissions, that of buildings and transportation, by incenting green building practices and advancing electric vehicle charging stations throughout the city, and especially in multi-family housing complexes. I applaud the Sustainability Division for holding community outreach workshops this year, and I look forward to learning about the variety of ideas expressed by participants. I was able to attend in several of these meetings, and I urge the community to play a part in future workshops to continue to stay engaged and to become educated in the available solutions to combat climate change. I am hopeful that other Ventura County cities will look to Thousand Oaks as a model for establishing and implementing their own climate action plans. We all need to work together to solve this existential threat. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Francis Lee.
Hello?
We don't have Francis Lee, but we do have Kathleen Wheeler. Good evening.
Sorry, I'm back.
Good evening. I'm your neighbor. I live in Ventura, and I believe that every citizen in this county has a vested interest in what you're doing with your climate and environmental action plan. When it comes to creating the possibility of a sustainable future and acting with the urgency to address the climate crisis, if we're going to be able to have that future, we're really connected. So thank you, as everyone else has thanked you as well, for the foresight that you've shown in prioritizing this plan and for your leadership in this space. You are setting an example for other cities. You're being talked about. I know that there is the predictable opposition from entrenched special interests who would delay action. I urge you to continue to be courageous in putting public health and the broader community first ahead of those interests. There are several strategies in your plan, and building electrification is one of them. So many buildings are not designed for either human or planetary well-being. Thinking long-term for just a moment, it's interesting to note that if buildings are electrified and the source is renewable, by 2050, 1/6 of the world's total greenhouse gas emissions would be eliminated. The time to start on that effort is now, and the best place to begin is locally. Oops, lost my place, hold on. It's also worth noting that building retrofits means jobs, and jobs that by definition cannot be outsourced. And one of the ways to engage the holdouts on climate action is by working toward a very just transition for workers. Building electrification is not the only or even the most impactful action But doing it sends a crucial message that the council is serious about doing everything that they can in the face of a global problem that affects us all and is affecting us right now. So I hope you will adopt this and all the strategies of this plan. They couldn't be more necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was Frances Lee. And next we have Kathleen Wheeler.
Sorry, I'm here.
Never mind.
That was Kathleen Wheeler.
That was Kathleen Wheeler. And now we have Frances Lee. It's hard to hear staff through the mask. Sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah. Thank you for taking my comments today. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Frances Lee, and I'm a resident of Moore Park. And I've lived and worked in this area, and I feel like I've worked in Thousand Oaks for more than 17 years. I feel part of the community. I'm deeply concerned about climate change and want to do my best locally, but Moore Park is not currently working on a climate plan. And the city council, I am told, is waiting for cities like Thousand Oaks to formulate a plan that they can adopt. And it's important that Thousand Oaks act urgently and decisively on the CEAP, so places like Moore Park can get on board and meet state requirements for electrification, to cut emissions from natural gas in buildings and homes with the 222 REACH codes, and addressing transportation emissions by building electric vehicle infrastructure. Luckily, Moore Park does have a good framework for a general plan, with thoughts of building mixed use, denser areas for walkability. And with that in mind, so the ideas for building resilience in cities, such as tree planting, creating pollinator and shared communal gardens, and adapting parks and schools for rainwater and stormwater runoff, will help in a drought future that we're already facing with climate change. And actually teaching community and schools, kids in schools, is critical for the population to understand the changes that are coming from climate change and how to participate in the many solutions that we have and must engage in for a successful tomorrow and 2064. And thank you for, this report, Helen and Cox, and for the council for all their vision, and I appreciate that as a community member. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Gordon Clint, followed by Jillian Hall.
Yes, my name is Gordon Clint, and I live in Newbury Park. I suppose I could just echo all the good comments that I've heard, but I do want to say how blessed I feel to be a citizen of Thousand Oaks. Our forward-thinking leaders established this sustainability division, and that they're creating a climate and action plan to address our climate while maintaining our quality of life. Most people are now aware that we must act rapidly to prevent our climate crisis from growing into a global catastrophe. We must take measures to repair our stressed environment and lower the percentage of greenhouse gases going into our atmosphere from burning fossil fuels, as we've heard the details and so many comments about. So I appreciate and support the work and vision of our Sustainability Division staff as they guide us towards a better future. I urge our City Council members to boldly take the necessary steps to make Thousand Oaks a sustainable city where our great-grandchildren can live and thrive. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jillian Hall, followed by Kristen Kessler. Jillian has left. Then we go to Kristen Kessler.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kristen. I live in Ventura. I'm 53 years old, and I was born and raised in Southern California, and I've lived here most of my life. The climate and weather patterns that I experienced as a child and young adult are distant memories. 90-degree heat waves and wildfires in the fall were unheard of. Yes, we had fires, but they were not as intense nor as frequent. For these reasons, climate change really scares me. The Pentagon just released a report last week saying that climate change is now considered a national security threat. I would also like to address a comment made at the beginning of the meeting by a gentleman who said we should be more concerned with illegal immigration than we should be with climate change. I would like to say that climate change is actually fueling immigration. Countries in Central America are experiencing such severe drought that people can no longer work in agriculture. And so it's fueling those displaced people to want to immigrate to the United States. So those issues are very much intertwined. I will close with this. For those of us who have seen the movie The Exorcist, Chris McNeil, played by Ellen Burstyn, speaks of her possessed daughter Reagan and says, "That thing upstairs is not my daughter." Well, the climate we are now experiencing is not our climate. Members of the council, please exercise climate change by phasing out natural gas and dramatically increasing the use of renewables in the city of Thousand Oaks. Thank you very much.
That was an interesting comparison. Thank you. Todd Collard is next, and then our last speaker is Dan Beeson.
Hello, my name is Todd Collard. I'm urging your council to continue its support for your Sustainability Department's development of a bold CAP, and then swiftly adopt it and vigorously implement it. I'm urging these actions as a resident of the city of Ventura and as a member of the Ventura Climate Coalition for the following 6 reasons. 1, scientific evidence tells us we are approaching dangerous tipping points beyond which there will be runaway global warming. 2, we're all figuratively in a waterlogged boat that's taking on more water. Regardless of where we are from or where we sit in the boat, it's in all of our interests to use all means possible to bail out the water in the boat and keep additional water from lapping into it. In other words, we need to stop generating new greenhouse gases that enter the environment and find ways to remove the existing gases that are there. Your council's action tonight will help bail out the boat we're all in. Third, Congress has been spectacularly ineffective in addressing climate change. The state has been much more proactive, but it too has failed to take courageous steps to curtail greenhouse gas emissions. One such example is the Uniform Building Code that does little to curtail natural gas use in buildings and creates more harmful emissions, even though electrically powered options exist. When higher levels of government fail to act assertively, local governments need to step forward and take action, as your council has demonstrated over the past several years. Thousand Oaks can lead by example, as many others have suggested, exploring options and pioneering strategies that other cities can follow. My city will be creating a climate action plan over the next couple of years with the assistance of the same consultant your city has been using. As such, there could be numerous parallel policies and programs in each city's plan. I personally would like to see a little bit of friendly competition between the cities to see which one can make the most headway in climate change mitigation and adaptation. 5, national and international studies are concluding that the limited response to climate change has created a deep sense of despair and mental depression, particularly among young people whose future is most in peril. With so little government action and ongoing obstruction by entrenched industries, they are losing hope. By taking concerted action, you can help bring hope to the public at large. Lastly, a debate is underway as to whether democratic governments like ours are capable of acting fast enough to avoid a climate calamity. China and other autocratic government systems are claimed to be superior because they can respond more quickly and effectively to the challenge. Your actions will help demonstrate that democratic government, even at the local level, can successfully fight climate change. Thank you for your time.
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Jones, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to recognize Todd Collard. He had a distinguished career as a planner for Ventura County. and he was elected to the Ventura City Council. And he was famous for riding a bicycle.
Oh.
Todd, did you ride your bike over here tonight? Or?
No, I did not. I took the easy way and zoomed over, which is a very good way to reduce traffic miles traveled too.
Todd got so sick of my calling him to get phone numbers of county staff that he sent me a copy of the Ventura County telephone directory. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, my phone number was 2468, so it was very easy for Mr. Jones to recall. So I ended up being his switchboard operator functionally for probably 10 years. Happily so, though.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that
coming,
information.
Todd. Appreciate it.
Nice seeing you, Ed.
And our last speaker is Dan Beeson.
Thousand Oaks metro area, and I'm sure you'll all be disappointed I don't have a canned speech for you. I'm just a guy that's trying to speak on a practical issue. You know, as a contractor, I deal with these kind of things on the practical level. You know, I think it's kind of ridiculous to think that, you know, Thousand Oaks is going to save the world. And I love some of the environmental things that the city has done, and that's great. But on this issue, I'm just disappointed to see just more regulation getting piled on. You know, people that talk about affordable housing and things like that in our community, you can't be serious if you keep pushing things like this. Every time I go into the city, there's a new regulation, and they're all well-meaning, and I don't disagree with many of them. But you have to realize that there's actual costs to these things. They aren't free. You know, one example would be water heaters. You know, if you want to force that on a remodel basis, I can tell you people will just, number one, they'll stop. They just won't pull permits. And number two, like, what's going to happen to you when your water heater goes out and the city says, yeah, when your water heater goes out, you have to upgrade it to electric. You're going to find out that you need a panel change, and that's going to cost you $4,500 because you have to dig a new line out to the handhole in the front. And then you got to buy an expensive water heater on top of that. That kind of thing is just silly. And people won't put up with it. Now, there's a lot of people here that are obviously in the environmental club, and they all got their prepared speeches for you, and that's great. But there's a lot of people out here like me that work 10-hour days, and we don't have time to come here and sit all night and listen to this stuff and petition you, you know, to do things that are actually practical for our lives. But there's a lot of us out there, and we're going to remember when we vote. And so I just hope you remember that when you vote on this and make decisions. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. And Dan Beeson was our last speaker. I also wanted to direct your attention to the supplemental packet. There is a long statement from Southern California Edison, very much in favor of, say, one of these REACH programs, because SCE doesn't think that that the state will fall short of achieving its GHG reduction goals unless cities such as Thousand Oaks actually do something about this. Let's see here. I have a quick question for Dr. Cox. SCE also has a rebate program for seniors or for low-income families, correct?
They have various rebates on different kinds of energy-saving appliances. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, in terms of the use of electricity, they do offer discounts to seniors and low-income families.
Yes, they have a CARE program there.
That's it.
Yeah, they have discounted rates, and also Clean Power Alliance. So for Clean Power Alliance, you can get the 100% clean electricity for the same rate that you would normally pay for the cheapest rate, the 33% or the 36% renewables.
And then there are also tax incentives or tax credits for taxpayers who upgrade their homes, say they winterize it, they put in dual pane windows and things like that, correct?
Yes, various incentives, usually through the utilities for those. But some of those programs are income-based.
Correct. They're income-based. Very good. Then, let's see, we do have a question from Councilmember McNamee.
Dr. Cox, again, thank you for a wonderful report. Two questions for you. One is that when I've done the analysis on various homes who want to put in solar, that when it's $30,000 worth of solar panels on the roof, is it true that if your electric bill is $50 a month, it's not cost effective and you won't see any return on your investment of $30,000? But if you have a $200 electric bill, then it would make sense to put electric on the roof. Is that a fair statement?
Well, if your electric bill was only $50 a month, then you wouldn't need to put $30,000 worth of solar panels on the roof to offset that electricity use. If you only had $50 worth of electricity use, you'd probably only have to put about 10 or 12 panels on your roof at a cost of maybe $10,000 or $8,000. So generally speaking, you can, as a sort of ballpark number, you can pay for your solar system with energy savings if your bill is $100 or less. $100 or more a month. As a rough estimate, if your bill is $100 or more a month, you would be able to pay your solar system off in less than 10 years.
Because my calculations were coming out with 20 and 30 with some of the homes that we were doing through the engineering program. That's why I was wondering. Second question is, yes, it's lower cost to install electric, but given the cost differential over the months, over the years, I would think that electric actually would wind up being more expensive over the long term. Sort of like when you buy a printer and they give you a cheap printer, but the cartridges cost a lot of money. Now, is that a fair analogy?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball to tell me what electricity rates are going to be in the future, so it's a little difficult to
Let's look
predict.
historically, again, when it's cost 4 times to do electric versus gas, as an example.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's 4 times as much.
Well, let's say your electric bill is $100, but your gas is $25. Cheaper to put in electric, more expensive to put in gas for a new build. But aren't you going to be paying more over the long term for the electric because of the monthly bills costing more?
That depends on how much energy you're shifting from one side to another. I mean, when you say, a gas bill's 25 and electric 100, how much energy are you using? What are you powering with gas and what are you powering with electric? It's not exactly a one-to-one comparison. So if you're basing it on a particular appliance, one particular appliance that was electric or gas, like if you did your cooking with gas versus cooking with electric, I think that the comparison is fairly even.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I actually forgot to ask Dr. Cox if you wanted to respond to any of the comments from our speakers before we go to our Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't think that there was particular questions or issues that came up that necessarily needed clarification. I think most of the things that were mentioned were things that we covered either in the presentation or that the council members covered. So unless you have specific follow-up questions, I didn't make note of anything that needed a response.
Okay. I just noticed that in the SCE statement, SCE actually estimates the average customer cost across all types of energy combined to decrease by 1/3 on average. So they very much look forward to this. Mayor Pro Tem Engler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I appreciate my council colleague talking about $20,000, $30,000 solar installations. But I also agree with Ms. Cox that that's a very large. I can only speak from my own personal experience. that my system that I had installed in my house, and I'm fortunate to be able to do that, has resulted in no electric cost for the years I've had it, and with a 6.5-year payback, a full return on investment. So I think that solar is, especially the more modern systems that don't involve as high a cost, are very attractive. I do have a question for Ms. Cox, though. You mentioned in your I'm going to mess up the dates here, I think, and perhaps the percentages. But you mentioned that given our current course of action, we're going to be at about our target in 2030, but we are going to fall way short of our targets in 2045. Is that an accurate remembering of your statement?
Yeah, our projections based on our current information is that we would be at about a 39% reduction over our 2010 levels by 2030. And the preliminary target that council set based on the states was for a 40% reduction by 2030. So certainly we expect to be close to that. Since then, of course, some of the targets have ramped up. I mean, it's possible that the state will change their target in line with the federal government, but based on the preliminary targets that we got in January, that's true.
Okay, and then, but our overall target, I think, was we wanted to be at the state's recommendation of 80% reduction by 2045. Is that my memory serving me right?
Right. There's two slightly, I don't know whether to say conflicting targets. One was a 50% reduction in emissions. An 80% reduction in emissions by 2050, and the other was to be carbon neutral at 2045. So most targets now are looking for a 2045 carbon neutral target.
Carbon neutral. And on our current path, we won't be able to achieve those. Is that what I'm reading in your statements here?
Correct, unless we address those remaining sectors. Mm-hmm.
Have you been able to look at the information, some of the things you've mentioned? Will they assist us in reaching that goal, or is that goal something that we can never achieve?
No, I would say it's definitely achievable, and just depending on what kinds of shifts we can make in our transportation profile in particular, well, in both sectors, really. Yeah. I mean, by that time, the electric grid will be 100% renewable energy. So that is obviously one option to transition the power sector in that direction. And then also depending on what we can do with vehicles.
It would, and this is, I guess, more commentary than question. I think the major issue, the major nut we have to crack is the transportation. And I agree with my colleague, Mr. Adams, that by creating walkable areas and areas where the vehicle miles traveled is not as required may assist us in that. But the area that we really should concentrate on is the big nut, which is transportation. And I would like to see anything we can do to really work on that and reduce the amount of greenhouse gases produced by our transportation sector would be, to me, seems to be the area we should really concentrate. The building aspect is another arrow in our quiver, but really the transportation side of things seems to be the area that could bear the most fruit for us. Is that the type of feedback that you would like to see and really concentrate on that? Or should you want a more broad aspect of feedback?
All feedback's good. I appreciate, you sharing that. And certainly we're going to look at all of those different strategies, but if there's more of a focus on transportation, we'll have, some of these savings, the actual savings calculations are going to come out, once we have the growth projections and the housing element, the circulation and things like that come out of the general plan. That's really going to help to solidify some of that data. But yeah, your comment about focusing on that is well taken. So.
Yeah, I don't think any of these things are mutually exclusive. We don't ignore some of them simply because we're concentrating on another one. But I would think that at 62%, that's where we really should try to emphasize our work.
Thank you.
Thank you. And before we go to Councilmember Jones and then Councilmember Adam, I wanted to mention that, first of all, I have a question. We actually can get to net zero by 2045. I thought your answer was yes, it's doable. Dr. Cox.
Well, depending on what the analysis that comes back on the from the general plan, from the growth and the VMT, vehicle miles traveled, sorry, depending on those projections and what we have for projections from the state on electric vehicle adoption, then we would have to run those numbers.
Okay.
But, if transportation went all electric, and since the grid is expected to go all electric, then in theory, yes.
In theory, okay. Now, we may see as many as 16,000 units, in theory, being built by the year 2045. And so that is why it makes sense to me, with all of these units that might be built, to actually develop a new construction reach code, because that is a sizable number of units, whether it's apartments or single-family homes. It is a sizable number of units. And I think it is if we don't take that action now as we're developing our general plan, we will have really missed out on an opportunity to really keep the next generation healthy. So I think it is absolutely imperative that we agree to a new construction reach code. Older homes, obviously, each individual homeowner will make up their mind about whether they want to invest in all electric or not. But with the future of Thousand Oaks now going, looking more dense, this is the time to act. Mr. Jones and then Mr. Adam.
Yeah, my son and I built a house in the late 80s, and it's fairly large, and we were required to put solar panels on the roof. I take it that that ordinance is still in place, and is there a certain ratio of panels that a new construction has to place, and does it go by the size of the house, or?
There's a requirement that the panels are sized to offset the expected electricity use of the property.
To offset what?
The expected energy use of the property. So essentially, they have to generate enough power during the year to offset the total electricity use that's expected to be used by that property.
Yeah, and I do think we need to make some, I mean, obviously the best thing to do is, I think has been pointed out earlier, is to require solar right off the bat, before you build a house, because as that contractor told us a few minutes ago, and I believe he's correct, if you have to change, say, from a gas water heater to an electric and have to change your panel, that is a major cost. Did we consider some of the costs involved in converting a water heater?
So that's part of the next phase of the planning process, would be to do those computations of the cost effectiveness of various strategies.
After hearing Mr. McNamee talk about his gas and electric bill, I checked mine for last month. It was $102 for electric and $85 for gas. But we've been using more gas because the weather has turned a little cooler. And so I don't know what the normal ratio is between the two. We also have an electric oven, but a gas stove. So I presume that these things vary by the types of utilities you have. One last thing, are electric water heaters prevalent? know much about them.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's different kinds. I mean, there's the old traditional big boilers essentially, and then there are, on-demand heaters that can be gas or electric. But the newer technology is what they call the heat pump ones, and they're electric. But it is a relatively new technology.
Well, finally, I believe in all the measures that we heard suggested tonight, and it was very nice to get all the praise. I don't remember that I did anything that was very praiseworthy on this topic, but I do think, going along with what the contractor said, that we need in the final analysis to temper our standards and requirements and so forth with the cost of converting older houses. I mean, it looks like that could be quite an onerous burden on some people. Thank you.
Yes, it does require a multi-pronged approach that is mentioned on slide 27. Obviously, we should tackle transportation, but it is several areas that we absolutely need to tackle. Councilmember Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree. We have to be really cognizant of some of the costs. I mean, the water heater business is just one issue that comes up with all this. And water heaters go out all the time. So that's definitely a factor. And Ed, I wish I had your electric bill. That's pretty cheap. Anyway, just one other quick thought.
Al, if you'd like my electric bill too on top of yours, I'll be glad to send it to you.
No, that's fine. Thank you. I'll change with you though. As Councilmember Engler said about the transportation business and about how it's 62% of the greenhouse gases, another problem we have, and it's going to take time to solve this, but it's a problem. 60% of our workforce doesn't live here. They go in and out of the city every day. Thousands of people clogging the 101 freeway, clogging the San Diego freeway. My own daughter commutes in from West Hollywood to Thousand Oaks and back again, clogging the 6-lane sea of cars on the San Diego freeway. My other daughter commutes from Santa Barbara to Oxnard every day, clogging the 101. So it's not just our city that has this problem. We've got to find a way for people to be able to live and work in the same place. And that goes back to our housing policies, and we're moving along on that. But it also, as far as the young people goes, we have to have the amenities here that will keep them in the city. Tarantula Hill is a perfect example. A great addition to the city, very popular, and young people love it, and it keeps them here in town. And so we need to see more of that. Better housing policy, better amenities, get people off the freeways, keep them here in the city.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. Well, there are people that live in Thousand Oaks and work in LA because they want to live in Thousand Oaks. That was my choice way back when, in the early 90s, didn't want to live in LA. I found Thousand Oaks so much more attractive than the traffic and high density in LA. And so I commuted for almost 18 years. So there is a percentage of Thousand Oaks residents that work in LA and wouldn't really otherwise be working in Thousand Oaks. But, you mentioned the younger generation, the millennials or Generation Z. They're very environmentally minded. And so they would love to walk, and I'm sure that they will walk or use other transportation, public transportation if it is available. But they're looking for living quarters that are environmentally sensitive, and that is simply the newest generation. They're thinking that way. And so as we look at the next 20 plus years of development in Thousand Oaks, we do need to keep that in mind, and we do need to appeal to those residents that are coming into Thousand Oaks by providing, for example, green apartments or green homes, environmentally conscious and friendly homes. And again, given that we're looking at 15,000 plus potentially. This is an area now, and we're at a time now where we do need to take action, and it may be bold action. But in order, we don't want to burden anyone in existing homes or so, but if with old construction, unless they personally want to make that change. But certainly the new construction needs to get that direction. The state is already on its way to doing that. Thousand Oaks can do more than what the state is already requiring us to do. And having been the leader in environmental protection in Ventura County, at least Eastern Ventura County, for a number of years, since, decades, I think it behooves this council to actually direct Dr. Cox to continue with her research and with the outreach to the community and get a better sample from residents as to what they would prefer, and look at a multi-pronged approach to reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. We want to have a realistic date. It shouldn't be draconian, but nonetheless, this is an urgent matter. No matter how you look at this, it is an urgent matter. And I think if we give direction to the Sustainability Department to see what is achievable, how we can achieve it, requiring certain things in new construction, certainly we will make a difference. Let me see who has their hand up. Mr. Jones and then Mr. McNamee.
Well, I didn't know if anybody else would.
Yeah, we have several hands up.
Contribute. I wanted to thank the staff for the report and all the people who spoke tonight, and I wanted to move that we receive and file this report.
Okay, I believe that there was some direction requested, which I kind of touched upon. It is not a per se receive and file. So let me see, what was the direction, Dr. Cox? Let me see. Several examples given on page 27, potential strategies that could be looked at, including, in my opinion, breach codes in terms of new construction.
Well, pardon me, I don't mean to stop debate. I think that we have given a lot of ideas to Dr. Cox in our debate here tonight. And obviously, Madam Mayor, if you want to request a certain response, a specific response, obviously that's your prerogative.
Dr. Cox, do you have enough information or direction?
I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Finley to make some concluding remarks.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. We have received a tremendous amount of information tonight. There are a few more hands up, I see, and that's up to you whether you want to get a little more input, but we're at a place where we've heard the council concerns, we've heard council's questions and ideas, we've heard from the public, and we don't need any vote on direction. We are going to go back and continue our outreach activities, and but happy to hear any additional input before we close the item.
Excellent, excellent. Next up, we have Councilmember McNamee and then Mayor Pro Tem Engler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I didn't know we shifted from questions to concluding comments, so I'll just conclude this way, is that this question regarding moving over to all electric for either new construction or current existing remodels or changing out appliances, I think the collective wisdom of the people of Thousand Oaks far exceeds anything that the five of us can put out. I'd rather leave it up to the market. If this is as wonderful as we say it is here in the discussion that going over all electric is so wonderful, simply educate the people. They will make their choice. Developers, builders, buyers will all make their choices, and we need to get out of the way and let the people of Thousand Oaks make their choices and not us dictate it to the city. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Engler?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in terms, when in speaking about the transportation side of things, I see that as the largest contributor to greenhouse gas and GHG. And that was my reason for emphasizing that as far as some solutions that we could come up with that. By no means am I saying that we shouldn't look at other modalities that we can, again, go forward with. Everything from, as I mentioned earlier, sequestration of carbon dioxide in trees, encouraging more bike paths for active transportation. We can look at the building codes for any reach codes. These are all items we can look at. And I don't know if we're ready yet because I'm with some of my other council colleagues. I don't know what these things are going to cost and if it is a cost-effective way of moving forward. But I think my direction back to staff is to come back to us with as much information as they can to help us guide us into a judgment that makes sense for the community. I appreciate the community coming out. I kept a little tally. There's 5 people from out of the area, but there is also about 13 or 14 people in favor, 5 people opposed. So we are getting input from our citizens, and they expect us to make policy, and I think that's somewhere we should probably look for more input from our citizens so that we can make as wise a policy choice as we can.
Absolutely. We also have 12 written statements from the public in favor of the Climate and Environmental Action Plan. Absolutely, more feedback is needed. And I'm glad of the process that we have been making so far. Big emphasis, bike paths, as Mayor Pro Tem Engler mentioned. Of course, planting trees, super important in this endeavor as well. So, okay. It does say to vote on the recommendation to receive the report and provide feedback. So I'm going to make the motion to receive the report, and we have given the feedback already.
I'd be happy to make the motion, Madam Mayor.
Okay, then go ahead.
Do we already have a motion from
Oh,
Councilmember Jones?
Mr. Engler, actually. I'm sorry, Mr. Jones
That's
made the
right, I'm
motion.
sorry.
Yes, I forgot. Very good. So Mr. Jones has the motion, then we will vote.
Councilmember Adam?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember McNamee?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Engler?
Yes.
And Mayor Bill de la Pena?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0.
Excellent, thank you. And next on the agenda, we have from our city manager, any announcements or upcoming issues?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next regularly scheduled city council meeting is coming up in 2 weeks on the 9th of November. We will be hearing the Daylight, which is better known as September School Project that went to Planning Commission and advanced last night. That is currently the only item on the agenda for that evening. As a reminder to the council and to the community, we are planning to be back in person in the chambers again with distancing and appropriate protocols in place, but felt it was time in consultation with with other cities across the county. So we're going to be one of the few large cities that will be coming back in beginning at our next meeting.
Thank you. And then also, let's not forget the Day of Remembrance, November 7th at 1 o'clock at the Healing Garden. It will be a celebration of life. And with that, our city attorney, Tracy Noonan, will announce 2 closed sessions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have 2 closed sessions tonight. The first one is on pending litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A. It is Mario Corral versus City of Thousand Oaks Workers' Compensation Appeals Board case. The second matter is conference with real property negotiators regarding the property at 2200 East Thousand Oaks Boulevard. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. It is unlikely I will have anything to report following these closed sessions.
Thank you. And we will adjourn tonight in memory of Joanne Kelly. Joanne Kelly passed away on Sunday, September 19th. Joanne was a member of the city family, working as a full-time employee for over 35 years, from 1980 to 2015. Joanne graduated from Newbury Park High School and completed her bachelor's degree at Humboldt State University. After college, she returned to the Conejo Valley and began working for the city of Thousand Oaks at Hill Canyon Wastewater Treatment Plant as a lab technician. She was promoted to Environmental Programs Coordinator in 1990 and completed her city career as a Resource Division Manager in the Public Works Department. Joanne was a sci-fi enthusiast, an avid reader and lover of science. She was especially fond of the Eastern Sierra, where she could identify birds and plants of all kinds. Joanne could always provide ample evidence that fairies were indeed in the backyard and knew that with enough patience and persistence, a rainbow trout was bound to bite. All who were fortunate enough to share her company will always remember her compassionate, quiet, steady, and fun-loving nature. Joanne is survived by her husband, Tim, and daughters, Jessie and Kara. She will be deeply missed by her family, many friends, and her city co-workers. This meeting is now adjourned until November 9th. Good night.